What's up, gente? This is another episode of the Brown Experience with myself, Brown96, as the host. And today we're going to be discussing another dope topic for people to listen in. We're going to wait for everyone to join in here. What's up, Flo? Good evening, buenas noches, ¿cómo estás? So I'm going to have everyone come in here right now. Start sending these requests para que entre la gente. Um, how's the sound? Can you hear it clear? Flo? I know there was some kind of static earlier. I was trying to check it out, see what's up with it. But can you still hear static? Hope not. Freaking technology, man. It's crazy. But anyway, today, the topic today is going to be belonging versus not belonging in America. So we're going to dive into that topic right there. Belonging versus not belonging in America. That sense of belonging, we all want to belong. We all want to be accepted, right? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, you know, what it means to be accepted. What it means to belong in America as a brown individual, male or female. What does that feel like? What does that look like in the barrios? To belong, to have that sense of belonging. You know, some of us choose to go into certain endeavors like gangs and certain such things to be, to have that sense of belonging. Um, and others choose to go into other such things as, continuation school, um, you know, the studies, academics. But it all kind of, we go through life and we want to feel like we belong, right? The static? Dang. A ver. How about now? Good? A little better? How's the sound? Good? A little better, a little better? All right. So here we go. We're going to bring in some gente here. Okay, cool. That sounds good. So I'm going to bring in some gente here and I'm going to send some in. Uh, there, send some favorite black words. Okay.
Yo, what's good, bro?
What's up, Carnal? How you doing,
Chilling,
bro? How
bro.
you
How you
doing? How's
doing,
everything?
man? Chilling, bro. How you doing today?
All right, man. Just ready for this plática. What's up, homegirl? How you doing?
Up?
How's everything?
Good. How are you?
All right. Just ready to go into this plática here. I have pláticas like this. Conversations about different topics every Thursday, and I I don't know if you checked out the past episodes and stuff. We go into some deep stuff, but this one's gonna be about belonging versus not belonging in America. I mean, we all had those feelings, like we know the sense of not belonging, the sense of like I want to be a part of that group, or you know what I mean. But we're gonna go first with SIE, bro. What does it mean to belong in America, bro, as a brown individual? And give a little brief past experience of like the times that you kind of realized that you didn't belong or you did belong. Go ahead, bro.
Shit, bro. Well, like I said, man, my experience a little fucking like warped. I think cause
Mm,
you know what I mean. Like since I was at the border, bro, we get the best of the world, both worlds. Like I said, I never ever felt like I didn't belong, at least in my hometown. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like Paso, bro. Like I said, everybody Mexican. You know what I mean? Like I said, we don't have like in Cali out there's like so many different people and stuff like that. So I don't know. It wasn't until I come out here in Colorado and she used to really start seeing a bunch of the bullshit. But yeah, bro, like I said, I came here old already. You know what I mean? So to me, I see it kind of like their issue. You know what I mean? I never really feel like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Maybe if I were to go more east, you know what I'm saying? More, because even here in Colorado, it's pretty, it's pretty brown and shit. And the people that aren't, it's like a lot of white liberals out here, so they all pretend to be very inclusive and shit anyway. You know what I mean? So it's really, I don't know. I never really, I don't think I've ever really felt oh, I don't belong. And like I said, I never really see the whole, myself like immigrant or anything either. You know what I mean? Like, I never really like talk about like, oh, my parents were immigrants, this and that, even though like technically they were. But to me, it just, you know, like I feel like that's just like a more form to like victimize yourself. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, well, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, and if it's like some real shit and like, you know what I mean? Like how can I say, like, if you're speaking on certain facts, like you try to bring it to the light and help your people is one thing. But there's people that like, you know what I mean? They're American and shit, but they're still parading the, oh, well, I come from immigrants, this and that. And, you know, I mean, if you want to get into the deeper topic, like even as brown people, I don't think our own people should be calling themselves immigrants, even if they are from, you know, all the way Guatemala, Venezuela. Like, that shit hurts me, man, when I see all our, especially even more Mexicans, bro, out here is like, oh, we immigrants. Like, bro, what the fuck are y'all talking about, man? You know what I mean? Like, I flip it on white people and shit. I always, you know, like, a lot of the shit that we hear, like, you know, the right, the Republicans, all the shit that they say, I never see it as wrong. I only see it as projecting. I only see it as, like, just a person that's saying it is wrong, but I flip it on them. Like, I use all their talking points. Therefore, I tell them to go back to their country. I tell them that they're the fucking immigrants. I tell them that they send the worst and that they send the criminals and the rapists. So, you know, like, to me, I never felt like an immigrant. If I see somebody like, yo, I just came from Venezuela, Guatemala, whatever, I'm never like, oh, okay, you're an immigrant. I'm like, shit, okay, well, glad you made it home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never really, you know what I mean? I just hate that. I think that that's the worst thing. When I see, like, people that look like us, like, oh, we come from immigrants. Like, no, man, let the white people say that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should really stop that shit about ourselves. I think we got to take more ownership the way they have. You know what I mean? They really have no fucking claim to this land, but they take ownership like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? They'll be over here talking about this is my land, this is our America, proud of it. So I think the best move to do is for us to just, you know, like I said that before, I think to you, the KRS lyrics that always fucking touched me was talking about, you know, money, right? It says, okay, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. But, you know, pretty much paraphrasing, he says, change your mind, right? When somebody says the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, visualize wealth and put yourself in the picture. You know what I'm saying? And instead of us being like, oh, this and that, I'd be like, yo, instead of, you know, looking at the whole thing like it's all fucked up, don't look at it like it's fucked up. Be like, actually, you're right. But it's flipped, dog. Like, we're fucking from here and you're the fucking immigrants. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know if I'm, like, not expressing this correctly, but pretty much, man, like, I think our people got to feel ownership to here. Wherever the fuck we go, you know what I mean? We got to walk proud and tell motherfuckers, like, somebody, like, oh, where you from? I'll be like, motherfucker, we're from here. You know, this is my land. You know what I mean? And say that shit confidently. So, yeah, dude, I wish our people just kind of felt, you know, a little bit more ownership of this shit right here, because this is ours. You know what I'm saying? It's been ours.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I see some people saying in the comments they can't hear the audio. Is the audio coming in clear? Is that pretty clear?
I can hear the audio.
All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Miriam, go ahead. Give us your point of view on this. So the question was, what does it mean to belong in America as a brown individual? And give us a little brief past experience of yourself where you didn't feel that belongingness in your particular, you know, area, and as a whole, you looking, you know, from the outside looking into the, you know, universally as a brown individual, right?
Yeah, well, like he said, like, I've never really thought about myself as an immigrant either. But I have always had an issue with belonging, whether it is in Mexico or here. Here I got bullied by the paisas, you know, the paisa girls from straight Mexico, which I was a paisa. I'm straight from Mexico, Piedras Negras, Coahuila, right? And apparently they thought I was Chicana, and they didn't like me, you know what I mean? And then, you know, it's same to the Americans. I would always get along more with the Chicanos. But even then, you know, I wouldn't really belong there because it'd be like, you know, they're just so used to the American culture and they don't know shit about Mexico. You know, a little bit of Mexico, I still wouldn't be able to understand, you know, their type of culture. You know, they have a more Americanized culture. You know, I would go to Mexico and the motherfucker was jumping me over there because they thought I was American. You know what I mean? So I never really belonged anywhere. And then just in life in general, you know what I mean? I got into that street shit, and I guess I tried to belong, and I ended up, you know, coming out in an okay position, except I still didn't belong because now that I think about it, like, I'm leaving everybody behind. Like, I don't even fuck with most of these people, you know, because I don't belong with them because they want to be a different type of something, you know. And I'm all about peace. I'm all about the universe, about God, about freedom and making money, and you know what I mean. I ain't got time for that shit. So now it's like, who do I belong with? I belong with God's people, the people who love, the people who understand, the people who make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, I feel that. I feel that. You know, and it's all a evolution of oneself, ¿verdad? Like we go through phases
Yes.
and whatnot, and we learn to be around certain people, and we let go of certain people because we're growing out of our shells or whatnot. But you know, throughout the years, like they put down our people by denying our citizenship, right?
Yeah.
And in many forms, that psychologically that messes up our people because they grow up to think, well, ¿por qué no nos quieren? Why don't they want us? Like, why are they denying us, you know, our liberty to go wherever we please in this fucking world, right? So, and we see that in the news with the kids, they got them in cages and whatnot. So, with this said, what does it mean to be an American citizen? Like, what does that mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we see all these talks about, oh, you're not an American citizen, but there's all these gabachos out here, and not only throwing shade at white people, whatnot, but people that are fucking lazy. They don't do shit. They don't contribute for shit, and they want to be, just because I'm born here, I have all the fucking rights and liberties, right? But our people are fucking hardworking people, and they don't, you know what I mean? They're like pieces of shit in their eyes, right? So it's like, what does it mean to be an American citizen? I mean, go ahead, Isai, you can take that.
All right. Yeah, well, that's a good point. Because like actually, like she mentioned, kind of reminded me something. But that's true, man. I do, but I never really like let it get too hard and shit. But like she said, like sometimes I mean, you feel a little bit of like different treatment from different people, especially what you're touching on. That's definitely happened to me, bro. Where like I feel like I fit in everywhere, but maybe that's just me. Maybe these fools are talking behind my back or whatever. You know what I mean? But like, I always felt like, I could go with some Americanized as, brown dudes or Pisces or whatever. But sometimes it does come up where it's like, oh, okay, homie, all right, well, where were you born? Oh, I was actually born in Texas. Oh, you know what I mean? Like from the Pisces, and then it'd be like some different shit, bro. And I'll tell you straight up, I'll tell you the story, man, in fucking, like when I was locked up, actually, bro, in the county. And I started working in the fucking bakery, right? And like, bro, like, first I was working in the kitchen, and then, to get to the bakery, you get a little bit more perks, right? You gotta wake up mad early, but you get more food or whatever. So I was like, fuck it, bro. Let me try and get in there. And I see that they be like, oh, you just gotta talk to the baker, and let him know what's good, and he'll bring you over. So I went up to him, in Spanish, like, oh, ¿qué trabaja para usted, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, bro, like, you just, got me in there. I'm working with them for like 2 mornings and stuff, and they're being cool, bro. And then one day I'm like, oye, ¿dónde quisiste que eras? I'm like, de aquí nací. And bro, just like that, bro, they started fucking treating me like shit, bro. And I was like damn, fool, like, oh, hey, stop that bread, hey, agarra la escoba mejor. And bro, and like, you know what I mean? That I never really felt it before, like in that moment, because like out here, bro, in a job, I could just be like, fuck you, choose, you know what I mean? But when you're in a position like that, too, where I was like, I had to be cool with that fool to get me in the bakery just so I could, get the little extra perks and shit. But then as soon as they found out, fool, it was like, oh, okay. But again, I never let that shit be like, oh, because they were paisa or whatever. Because like I said, it's like when you talk to a lot of them, it's like, homie, you know what I mean? And it's kind of fucked up to say because it's not through any fault of their own. But it's like, bro, I've been to Mexico more recently than you. Sadly, because of the status, you haven't been over there in 30 fucking years, homie. Like, I was just there fucking a few weeks ago. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that dynamic and shit. And I think that is that. When you ask what it means to be a citizen, bro, I always felt, like I said, it's like a fucking, there is a lot of privilege to that. And like you said, at least with the traveling, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I always felt I got the master key because, I go over there to Juarez and a lot of my friends couldn't come over here. And then I go to El Paso, and a lot of those people are scared to go to Mexico because of the stories they heard, or they've been told this shit. So I got all my friends over here that they just don't go to Juarez, and me and my brother going back and forth, and our homies over there be like, oh, we wish we could go. So there is certain shit like that, bro, like, I can't deny it. As a citizen, like, I had a lot of fucking benefits in that sense, getting to both worlds, as our people do. We get to go shop for cheap in Mexico, you know what I mean? But if we get to go to the dentist over there and still live over here. Like, I mean, we get those perks that we get to be like dual citizens almost, because Mexico ain't really, tripping on shit. So we get to, live there if we wanted to go back and forth and shit. So I could see why some fools, get, a little bit like, you know, a little bit of animosity towards us, but it's like you're directing it at the wrong person. And a lot of time it's like, it's people that can help you, at least in my situation. You know what I mean? I always go out of my way, like I said, because that's, you know, who I grew up around the most to try and help. But you do see it a lot, you know, especially out here where they're like, you know, they just try to be a little mamon with you. And you're like, hey, fool, like, you don't.
You went out. I can't hear anything.
All right, there you go. I was just saying, bro, like,
Yeah.
a lot of time, I think that they should realize, like, yo, man, we got to go over there and connect with the cool motherfuckers over there, bro, that already, you know, speak the language. They already, but then again, like I said, it flips over. Because I could also tell you from this perspective that, you know what I mean, like, Chicanos kind of treat them like shit. And I feel like if we, as over here, we already got citizen, we already got we kind of have an upper hand. So we kind of gotta help out more, in my opinion. You know what I mean? We kind of, it might even sound fucked up, and it's like, well, why? But I feel like we kind of gotta even just take a little bit more, and not take, but be more understanding of that. You know what I'm saying? Be like, hey, fool, I know why you're tripping. I know you think I'm one of these motherfuckers, but, you know, get this shit straight. You know what I mean? I'm one, you know what I mean? And maybe it's like, well, why the fuck we gotta have this extra compassion and shit? But like I said, because we have an extra privilege. You know what I mean? So that's really how I feel. I really do think that, you know, having the citizenship is a fucking, it does, you know what I mean? I can tell you from living in the border, when shit goes down, when fucking cartel decides to go shoot up motherfuckers, people that can come across are going to come across. But the people that can't, they're just stuck there to deal with the shit. You know what I mean? So definitely, bro, being a citizen here, I can see, like you said, bro, it just gives us a freedom to travel in our own land already. So really, we shouldn't fucking have it just to be able to go back and forth, especially from El Paso to Juarez. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? But yeah, bro.
Yeah. So that was a lot of good points, bro. A lot of good points. Now let's bring it back to that picture that I painted, though. You know what I mean? Like that there's people that are just no good for society, right? But just because they were born here, they get to have all the freedom that we don't when we just want to come here to work, right? With that said, what does an American citizen mean to you?
Me again?
Yeah, go ahead, homegirl.
Yeah, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, just the freedom to move around as you please. That's basically it. I mean, just being an American citizen, you're able to move around, and just like you said, just a privilege to move around in your own country. You know, it's something that I don't know. I don't see it as any type of separation, or I don't know. I just see it as, you know, normal. Like, I don't victimize myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not into that whole, you know, I'm brown and they treat us like this and, you know, all that stuff. Like, I really don't pay attention to shit. You know, a citizenship is just the fucking passport to move around to me, and that's it.
Okay. Now with that same coin, let's bring this up. So now it seems like we have that sense of belonging based on some kind of measures, you know, system of what we can contribute and whatnot. And they call us all these names, right? Because we, you know, every gente has their good and bad people, right? But based on those bad portions of people that, you know, that happens to be Latinos, happens to be Mexican coming from the border or whatnot, they categorize everyone under that, right? Under that circle, right? But like, what is a good measuring system, or what would be a good way to measure a sense of belonging, right? Like, what would be like, will we classify it as like economic status? Is that how we can say, like, okay, well, only the people that make certain amount of money can belong here, right? Because they're you know, they're contributing, right? Only like our social status, only the people that, you know, have a certain name to them can be here free, just like a citizen, right? Just like any citizen, whatever. Or material possessions. Like, I mean, how would you take that question, Isai?
So I don't think I understand that completely. So you're saying what, like, metric of measurement, like, would be like the best to, you know, like, say that,
like, if you had the choice to have some kind of system where it measures, so that way we can dismiss all this bullshit about nah, you can't be in this fucking land because this is, you know, I mean, they're measuring every fucking thing any damn way, right? They're measuring, they're pretty soon China's already has already in you know, in their system where they're basing your what is it, like your ¿cómo se llama, your ¿cómo se llama esa shit, bro? Like the number of
The social credit.
the social credit. There we go. Social credit. They're not allowing you in certain places based on your credit score, right?
Yeah.
So that's a system right there.
Really?
I mean, who's to say, yeah, China's doing that shit? We're gonna be doing that shit pretty soon too, I bet. So it's like they're measuring all these things, right? So what way do you think would be a good way that can benefit everyone to have a measuring system for our people to be able to live like we should live, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really don't think that there should be like a overall system. You know what I mean? Because like, who's overseeing that and shit? You know what I mean? That gets into like, you know, you could call it like imperialization or world government or whatever. Like we just can't have no big overseer, is my opinion. I feel that for you to belong, like it's got to come from the people there. Like I can't come to your house unless you invite me first, right? You know what I mean? So, and if I'm cool with you, you're gonna invite me to your house all the time. And you're like, oh no, that fool's cool. He could come whenever he wants and goes. But just because I'm cool with that fool doesn't mean that fool. You know what I mean? So, I mean, to me, bro, it always goes back to the same thing, bro. We need to break up this fucking big ass governments. We need to go back to, you know, localized. You know what I mean? Like our people, you know, pueblo manda, or what you want to call it, small government, whatever you want to call it. But I just think that it's gonna have, you know what I mean? Like, fuck all, you know what I mean? Like, fuck that social credit shit, bro. Like, because you could be a piece of shit to that community, but you could be a king to our community. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying with this whole normalization, this and that, or hey, okay, now we don't like him. Okay, now everybody get on the same fucking boat. You know what I mean? So to me, it's more like you can't do that. You know what I mean? It could be like, oh yeah, he's hated over there. Oh, well, over here we love him. You know what he's done for us is great. You know what I mean? You guys may have your fucking pedo with him, but doesn't mean that we're gonna pick up on your beef over there. Or vice versa, back, oh, don't let him in. Why not? We cool with him. He could come over here, that type of shit. But so for that, I think it would come, you know what I mean, with us owning shit first. And, you know what I mean, asking the rightful people. Like, it all comes down to, you know what I mean, like, to the land, bro. I wouldn't go to fucking Germany and feel entitled and shit. You know what I mean? Like, and we got to accept first, this is our land. Hey, areas where, you know what I mean, the indigenous people are still there, still going hard or whatever, well, then that goes back to them. Areas that we could, you know, split up and shit like that. I think it's really going to come down to money, like you said. You know what I mean? And it's not like I'm saying we should write that in a system, but I think that's human nature. You know what I mean? Like last time I kind of wanted to get into your economic one, bro, because like you know, and I really want to have this long conversation with anybody who's willing to, and as many people, you know what I mean? Because I really feel that a lot of people kind of tie a lot of good causes with things like communism and shit like that. You know what I mean? As far as economic systems, which I don't, again, if we have a big system like communism for the whole United States, who's overseeing that? Who's the one that decides the resources? Who's going to say, hey, California, you guys got a lot of this. We need to take those resources over to New York. You're going to be like, no, we work for this. These are for our people. You know what I mean? So I believe, obviously, in socialist economies locally, you know what I mean, for you and your people and shit. But when people come together, we're going to have to deal in a bigger sense in capitalism, right? We're not all fucking gonna be willing to share our resources with people we don't even fucking, you know, all the fuck over there because of big. So with that being said, I think if we come together and, you know what I mean, start buying land, doing this, doing that, can't nobody be like, oh, your people can't come. Why the fuck not? We own 2 cities. They could come over here if they want to. They could feel welcome here. You know what I mean? So I just think it goes back to us owning shit and us really having to say, you know what I mean? Because ain't gonna be no system under the white man's government that's ever gonna make us feel welcome. You know what I mean? Like whether we, and I do think that the most is money, right? Like, yeah, if you got money, I feel like in a capitalist system, like you could feel welcome anywhere, right? Which is why I tell people again, like it makes me laugh so much, bro, when I see like, you know, like the Antifa people, or, you know, people are so leftist that they always say communism and anarchy. I'm like, bro, these 2 ideas to me are like the most conflicting and like contradicting ideas. I feel like if you're really about anarchy, capitalism is the closest thing to anarchy we got, bro. It's the most lawless fucking system to where, yo, you do whatever, bro. You could buy a life, bro. You could buy somebody's death, bro. You could, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying I'm a total anarchist or whatever, but I'm saying better than some fucking imperialist system that's always going to put our people as second-class citizens. Nah, let's keep going on this shit where, you know what I mean? We could even do some crime and shit and get to the same level as a fucking king or something like that. You know what I mean? So basically, I think it does come back to us getting wealth as a community wealth as a people. And for when we do that, we can't flip. We can't be like, oh, well, that's for the American brown people. I don't know about you coming over there. No. We're going to have to, you know what I mean, really do it and open the door and be like, as somebody said in here, you know, there's power in numbers, you know. So I really think my grand idea, bro, is like I said, listen, man, we could either go out there and fucking get in a fight with these fools and get the land back, which I know we can't fight the American government, or we could just buy it, right? Which it sounds fucked up because it sounds like we got punked of it. But hey, a lot of other people own a lot of land. We call it our land, right? Like the Jews have a lot of land in America. You know, the Asian, a lot of communities own a lot of land as a community. But us, we don't really like, you know, own anything. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we come together and create the money, like it doesn't matter if we feel welcome. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck that. Like, it's just, do we have the resources we need? Do we have people from outside bothering us? No, if we handle our own shit, we don't need to feel welcome by anybody. You know what I mean?
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Nah, that's deep. That's deep. I met homegirl. Miriam, go ahead and I don't know if you remember the question. So basically, is what would it be if you were in charge? What would be your best way of measuring this sense of belonging? Because a lot of our people don't feel that we belong, right? And we just want to be just, you know, hardworking people, but no nos quieren, you know what I mean? Like we're just put down in every form, like even to the paletero man, like, you know, like they don't respect us at all. Like people just don't respect us. Like I said, I'm not just, you know, pointing fingers at a certain race or whatever. It's just that we, even ourselves, like we don't. What is it going to take? What measurements, what system of measurement or such can we put in place to make it, you know, to make it happen, to make it kind of, I guess, fair? You know what I mean?
I think that it just depends on what type of government you're trying to run. If you know, if you're talking about just a system that's going through an American government that's strictly legally American, there's going to be a difference between that and then you actually, you know, considering humans and you know, caring about everybody and, you know, just having something to where if you live here and you pay your taxes, you're straight, you know what I mean? But if you want to go the legal way, then I would say paperwork. If you want to go, you know, let's say if you want to get into it with the more richer crowd, you know, it's going to be a matter of the status of money, you know what I mean? But if you want to just everybody, the whole world, you know what I mean? I think it would just be like, you need to be able to be a good human and you know, pay your dues and put in what you can with the talents that you have, you know, for the world. You know what I mean? It just all depends on what type of system we're running, what type of government we're going with, and, you know, the rules of that. You know what I mean? It depends on what you're trying to belong in.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, this last one before we change to another group here is going to be like we all heard it before, like, you know, people make money don't make the person, but it seems like a lot of people want to be seen as a certain, you know, type of person. You know, they have to wear certain clothes. If not, then you don't fit in society. Like, especially the youngsters, right? I see that a lot, where they need to have that Jordans on or some kind of clothing on, because you know, they don't fit into society if they don't. They're an outsider or whatnot, right? Like, I've always been an outsider in that perspective because, like, you know, my folks are, you know, they're broke. You know what I mean? They're hardworking people, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of bills and stuff. So I was never rocking some fucking, you know, Jordans, nothing like that. And I'm proud to say it because, like, you know, we need to, you know, embrace that or whatnot. But, like, how should we promote this, or how do we go about and not take that into a way that it fucks us up? You know what I mean? Where, yes, we, you know, at times we're not going to be able to be rocking the latest shit. And how do we tell this to the children? How do we talk to our children to not feel a certain way about not being able to have certain things, right? Based on them wanting to belong, right? Go ahead, Saeed.
Well, with that, man, I feel like, you know, if you have like a strong foundation, whether it be your, you know, I mean, I guess it starts with family or, you know, whatever, because you do see certain kids that just don't, you know what I mean? Like, what I'm thinking right now is like the straight, like, Paisa dudes that, you know, still wear the cowboy hats and boots and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? At school, it's like a little group of them, bro, but they don't give a fuck and they rock that shit. And you know what I mean? And it could be like, you know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, well, you know, or even today with like, well, I guess that's kind of more popular. But shit like that, that you kind of see it and you'd be like, damn, bro, like these fools, you know what I mean? They look different than anyone else. But then one day you go to his house or to their party, bro, and you see that they throw the best family parties and everybody there look like them. So to the outside world, they don't give a fuck. Like, they're not trying to show an image because when they get back, you know, with their people, it's like, bro, this is how my mom, my dad, my uncle, this is how we.
We're not again.
This shit got a little timer so that I don't fucking be on Instagram too long. But, yeah, bro, so what I'm saying is that I really feel like, you know what I mean? Like, what we always talk about, bro, it starts at home, man. You can't make somebody feel like they need something that's not there when you come back and it's like, you know what I mean? But to touch on that other topic you were kind of saying, like, I feel like you know, I come from punk rock and shit, bro. So, like, to me, we pride ourselves on how fucking dirty and broken and fucking torn up our shit was. You know what I mean? We never really try to fucking flex or, like, have fancy shit. But I will tell you, when I started wedding DJing and when I started fucking putting on a suit every fucking weekend and going out to these like fanciest fucking venues with like parties where motherfuckers walk up to you with little trays of fucking hors d'oeuvres or whatever you call it, fancy appetite. Like, that was the first time I saw real people walking around with like 3-piece suits and money and shit like that. And I'm not gonna lie, dude, I like wearing my suit now. You know what I mean? Like that's what I told you, bro. I see the difference when I show up sometimes to those events and I haven't put on my top on, maybe I just still got the t-shirt and the pants because I'm gonna set up my shit, and they'll be like, oh, whatever. Or sometimes I'm like, you know, I'm gonna put on my full suit before I even walk in, and you see the fucking difference of the people. You know what I mean? Like, oh, hi. You know what I mean? Like, bro, like, so to me, it's like, it's not that I give a fuck, but it's just the way other people treat you that you'd be like, motherfucker, I should just wear a suit every day. If these people, you know, the same white people that if I come in my dirty ass clothes would be like, yes, can I help you? Then you show up in a suit, they'd be like, oh, sir, you know what I mean? It's a whole different thing. So I think that to me, if anything made me change, you know, kind of my style and shit, it was that, bro. It's just like, fuck it, bro. If all it takes is a stupid little suit for these people to give me respect, bro, that's how fucking retarded they are, then that's what I gotta do. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Which a lot of time I was like, you know, like I said in the punk rock, like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna show up with my dirty clothes and they're gonna have to respect it. But it's like, yo, if you're really that stupid that a little tie is gonna really make you shift your whole perspective on me, then I could do that shit all day, homie. You know what I mean? But like you said, to teach the kids, I'd always tell them like, hey, you know, which my dad and my mom always told me, you know what I mean? Como te ven, te tratan. You know what I mean? If you're gonna, you know, show up dirty and stuff, kind of get ready for people to be like, oh, you here to wash dishes or what? You know what I mean? Or if you're gonna, but again, I wouldn't ever tell my kids go try to be like them. I'll just try them, you know, look the best for yourself. You know, if you wouldn't, you know what I mean, like respect that shit, but. Yeah, I think that's kind of slippery stuff because, again, I wouldn't want my kid trying to, you know, have the nicest Supreme and all this shit just to fucking fit in. But also, like, I understand how some people treat you just based on how you look. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like a slippery one. But like I said, I like wearing a suit now. You know what I mean? Which I never thought I would, which is some weird shit, right? But, yeah, dude, it's just people treat you so much fucking differently, bro. And it's some fucking bullshit, but fuck them. You know what I mean? We could do that shit. But, yeah, so I'll give the floor. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Miriam, go ahead. I don't know if you remember the question. So basically, how would we promote this to our children, to the youngsters, this idea of like embracing what they have, regardless if they're not fitting into with their crowd that they want to be into, right? Mm-hmm. They're not belonging because they're not rocking the latest shit, right? How would you promote that to youngsters?
Well, I think two things. I think we have to, one, hit our children with reality and tell them the rules of life and the rules of the game. And then, two, make sure they have the confidence to rock what they want. You know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you wear. You know, of course, you're not going to show up dirty. And, you know, of course, we teach them, you know, what a dirty person resembles compared to a person in a suit, you know what I mean? Or a person that's looking like it's, you know, he's wearing a mechanic suit or, you know, the thing is to be prideful, you know, you're not going to show up dirty on purpose. Or if you're showing up dirty because you're a mechanic, you're going to be proudful that you're a hardworking mechanic. You know what I mean? And you've got something that you're valued for. Because there's people that have money and don't know shit. There's people that have money and can't even fold a fucking shirt. You know what I mean? There's people that have money and can't even live on their own. They get anxiety if they go shopping at a grocery store. You know what I mean? So the things that the rich people have are a lot of things that, you know, we always want what we don't have. They want what we have, we want what they have. You know what I mean? So I think that if you just show your child how to be prideful in what they are, beginning with, you know, showing them how to uplift themselves by reaching goals and looking good and, you know, smelling good and making money and being successful, because, you know, the way of life, the truth is that everybody's going to see you as a status. Like, is this guy broke? And if he is broke, what kind of value does he bring to the world? You know what I mean? And if he's broke and he brings a great value to the world, then really being broke doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? And I think that the universe and God gives, you know, being the same, it gives you what you deserve and where you're going towards. And if you teach your child, you know, to not be dirty and clean up, and the child learns how to clean up, so then he's going to learn how to look good. And if that child learns how to look good, then he's going to learn how to look successful. And if he learns how to look successful, he's going to be successful. You know what I mean? So I think just being prideful of who he is as he is, the best version of himself or herself, and then, you know, to making sure they know the rules of the world and how people see you.
Yo, that was dope. That was dope. That's a trickle effect, right? You know, it starts in the mind, and then you put it into effect, and then it starts trickling down to actual action. You know, success starts in the mind, so, you know, you trickle it down. But that's dope. That's dope. Hey, I love the, you know, this plática. Like I said, you want to go ahead and shout out some of your stuff, Miriam? I know you got you know, you got your business and all that.
Yeah. I'm founder of Business Hub Corporation. We're a one-stop shop for anything business and entertainment. Meaning that we start you off with, you know, putting down the rules and the goals that you want to achieve, help you out with the business plan, get all the documents in order so you can legally do this. And even if you are an immigrant or you're not, we can get this shit done. You go with the whole, you know, the vision of the colors and the, you know, graphics and all that stuff, and, you know, social media marketing, you go to the actual marketing, street work, all this stuff. We do everything from start to finish. And if you already started it, we can help you push it. And if you haven't started it, we can help you start it. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. We do a lot of the music scene, Mala's World Productions. We have a few artists that we throw out there, and they're really good artists. We like to promote them as far as like family scene, lowrider scene, you know, family concerts, things like that. And just we do all types of things. I also own a roofing company, contractors for my fucking, hold on. My fucking mind went blank. Just construction contractors for, you know, siding and gutters and metal roofs and just all types of things. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Where can people contact you if you need it?
They can contact me through here, or Facebook is Miriam Torres, or Mala's World Productions, or Mala Torres.
Yeah. Y también es ahí, shout it out, carnal, you know, real quick, your business, bro. I know you're a businessman también, bro. We gotta push that. We gotta push that brown, you know, entrepreneurship.
Hell yeah, bro. Yeah, man. Main thing, the bomb enchilada, you know, it's the main thing I do, man. People go follow that, man. It's a little catering business out here in Colorado. But, you know, we do pop-up events or something, man. One of these days, you know, I want to take a little trip to Cali, maybe do one of those little farmer markets or something. But the bomb enchilada, everybody, you know, if y'all support that shit, I appreciate it. Also, man, I'm pushing some music right now. I just fucking released it, what was it, 2 days ago? And yeah, man, if everybody, the 15 people on here, man, if y'all go to Spotify, give it a little stream, I fucking appreciate it. And basically, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to create something completely new, you know what I mean? But taking, you know, learning from, you know, old school ways and shit, trying to rediscover shit that's been lost. You know, people talk about decolonizing and shit a lot. So if you really care, like, I'm taking that to the music world, you know what I mean? And I'm talking from the sense of, you know, working, you know, with indigenous instruments, building the instruments, you know, like really like putting myself through the shit. Like, you know, I'm a danzante. I've been doing it for 2 years, and my main focus was just to really like get in there and learn this shit and like learn the rhythms and stuff, you know what I mean? So like, this is some real shit to me, and it's been a project I've been working for 2 years. So I just put out one song, but more is coming. But if y'all fuck with it, man, like, you know, I'm trying to, like I told you, I'm trying to to really change the perspective of what Mexican music is, you know, which I love everything that's out, you know, whether it be, you know, regional, whether it be Mexican rock, Mexican rap. But I'm really trying to, you know, just give it a little bit new, you know, a fresh sound that when people really like try to figure out, like, you know, well, what's the indigenous root sounds of Mexico? I kind of want to, you know, try to be like a bridge to that, you know what I mean? And I'm just looking up to people that have done it before me, you know, that done it good. So really, I'm trying to elevate it, you know, put the electronic side on it. But yeah, man, if y'all follow my artist page, it's Revo Psych, REVOPSYK, and it just stands for Revolutionary Psychedelic. And that's essentially, you know, what I want my music to be, you know, revolutionary, psychedelic, some good ass music. So if y'all fuck with it, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, dude, thank you as always for having me, bro. I appreciate you. And Miss Marla, definitely, I'll be in contact with you because, like I said, I do business, I do music, so let's link up. I also have you know, I do weddings, like I said, so I have like a little DJ company, but I'm just building that off the ground. I used to work with another company, but bro, I got in a fight at a wedding with some white people and shit. So maybe one day we talk about that on the podcast, bro. It's a great story and shit. But anyways, I got to start my own business in that sense too, because I'm like, fuck it, you know, why not? But yeah, man, so out here working all the time, man, trying to make some music and shit. So, dude, I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, likewise, carnal. Hey, well, it was a pleasure having you guys, you know, talk about this topic here. I'm going to go ahead and bring the next couple people in here so we can discuss this again and give that extra perspective on this. Gracias.
All right,
I
appreciate it.
How do I just exit? Let me see.
Yeah. I think just the X. Yeah, there we go. That's what's up. Hey, so I'm going to bring in the homie Mega Man, Steven. So, and then let's see if the homie It's Bebecito still in here. But yeah, so how you guys liking it? Hey, what's up, Steven? How you doing, man? How you guys liking it? So belonging versus not belonging in America. Let's give that perspective out there. So the first thing was what does it mean to belong in America as a brown individual? And give us a little brief, you know, background on the times that you realized as a youngster that you belonged or not belong in America. Go ahead, Steven. Kick it off.
To be honest, it was kind of, I had mixed feelings and stuff, you know, dealing with a lot of our people, you know, from NorCal, Central Valley, Bay Area, and SoCal. I met all different types of parts, you know, when it comes to racism, when it comes to neutral, when it comes to, you know, hearing the term coconut and stuff. You're a whitewashed Mexican. You're not born in Mexico. You're here. You know, like, you know, people telling that like coconut people over here, they're lazy. You know, all they do, they just take, you know, they take for granted the system and all that. And with me, when I used to live in Northern California with my mom was always disciplined. My mom always told me, like, you know, don't get too comfortable, you know, like, because a lot of our people, they watch, observe, and see what we do. And I just always been a hardworking. I've been through my ups and downs, been poor, been rich, here, whatever, been a survivor and all that stuff. But, you know, people, they can dress whatever they want, this, whatever. But I think with you and I, Brian, we talked about this, you know, instead of making assumptions and this, whatever, just sit down and get to know each other and stuff like that. It doesn't matter if you're from Mexico or from America. We're all the same, man. We're all trying to make it. We're all trying to get out there. But, you know, that whole thing, we always talk about crabs in a bucket. If you see one of our people doing good, we got to bring him down and stuff like that. And to me, I've been there, done that and stuff like that. So to me, I'm just trying to like just understand a lot of these lives and knowing the people here and there and stuff like that, so I can have a better understanding. So these type of lives that you're doing, Brown, we're trying to resolve our differences and not be bashing on each other where we're just hating each other more, where we're just more divided, more tribal, more divisions, you know, and stuff like that. I'm just learning as I'm going.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Loving it. What's up, Bebecito? How you doing, Carolyn?
What's good, man? How you doing?
All right, man. Right. Just trying to bring these topics to, you know, to people to discuss it. But how do you feel about this, bro? You know, belonging versus not belonging in America, bro. Like, what does it mean to belong in America, bro? As a youngster, like, give us a little brief on like how you felt, you know, growing up. Did you feel like belonging? Did you feel like an outsider? How was that experience to you, man?
To be honest, man, my experience is very unique. You know what I'm saying? I grew up with mom who's Cuban and Mexican, and also a dad, who's Salvadorian. So, all of those are bold cultures, you know what I'm saying? Loud and proud, everybody's just freaking, on 10 at all times, you know what I'm saying? So that's the culture I came out with, just very bold, out there in your face, loud colors, you know what I'm saying? Loud personality, just like we don't give a fuck if anybody watches us or, fucks with us, you know what I'm saying? We're going to do our thing regardless. And, I have family members, who are musicians, who are, artists, woodworkers, just different skilled, people in my family and stuff like that, including myself. I do graphic design, and also, I'm an artist as well, a recording artist. And yeah, I've always felt at home, you know what I'm saying, in terms of like I grew up in Montebello. So
Oh, I do the podcast in Montebello.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's my hometown. That's my hometown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I moved everywhere. I moved to Whittier, to the high desert, to the fucking, you know what I'm saying, Northern Cali, San Diego. I've been up and down, you know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
So it's crazy. Like, I've just always had confident and bold people in my life, as examples, you know what I'm saying? And, yeah, my dad, he's an artist, and he and my mom, taught me all these principles, you know what I'm saying, on how to conduct myself, but at the same time, not to have any shame in my game and to put myself out there, you know what I'm saying? As an artist, they encouraging, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I never felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, like trapped in a box or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, with my family, they always encourage, each other, as a community, you know what I'm saying? To put whatever you do out there, you know what I'm saying? Whatever your medium of artistry is, you know what I'm saying? Put yourself out there and never have any shame in your game, you know what I'm saying?
That's facts right there. That's facts.
So yeah, just growing up in Montebello, you know what I'm saying? It was like, 80%, Latino and or Hispanic, you know what I'm saying? Chicano, you know what I'm saying? And 20% Armenian, you know what I'm saying? So it was always cool. It wasn't until I moved to like the high desert, where it was like black and white, you know what I'm saying? And that's where I started encountering like the first racism and stuff like that. But yeah, I never felt like, I was, what they try to, bring me down to, they would call me spick and wetback and, just like all the little cliches and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, I've always felt big and bold and my parents, they're like, they're always on 10 at all times, you know what I'm saying? So shit, I'm on 10, I'm on 20, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And plus, I went through the military and I've also performed, and opened up for a lot of major artists and, have songs with major artists and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? But, I never really been about clout. I haven't promoted myself like I should, It's just recently that my family's telling me like, yo, like, do this shit for real because you got it, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's just being loud and proud, putting your stilo out there, spitting your game, talking your shit, like Biggie says, you feel me?
Yeah.
So, gotta handle your business and have no shame in your game. Put yourself out there regardless of what anybody says. Fuck them.
It's all about being loud and proud and stuff like that. There's gonna be people out there who are gonna be like, don't talk about this, why you post that, why you post say that in the podcast. I don't give a shit about that, man. You just be you. That's it. If people want it, you're gonna have naysayers, you're gonna have haters and stuff, but you be you. You always stay true to yourself. That's what I always say it as. I say that to Brown, I say that to Flo, I say that to King Mexico, man. You be you. Because when you, Brown, and you and everyone else, you guys all have a voice to change what's going on with our country, or even probably all over the world, because you never know who's going to be watching you or hearing this live. There's a lot of people be like, yo, they got their shit together little by little. They're trying to unite and stuff like that. But again, we talked about tribal divisions, this, whatever, resolve our differences. The only person that I see doing that, whatever we can bring, be as one is, we all know, man, Gil from American Cholo, he's bringing that to light, and he's doing professional. He's trying to get his name out there. And yes, he speaks louder because, hey, we're not going to just, sit behind the bus, whatever, and stuff like that. He's having a voice like, hey, man, speak your shit, speak it, man. Have your voice be heard.
Facts. To be honest, you mind if I speak?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
When it comes to the Chicano platforms, it's like, I feel like they don't understand me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have, this is like the first Chicano, you know, platform that I've been on. And I mean, not putting it in a box or anything, or you know, but we see the demographic, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And yeah, it's like, because I've always been one of those dudes, you know, who's like, you know, just because my Cuban and Salvadorian background, you know, we're mixed race, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I grew up, you know, around a lot of, you know what I'm saying, of, you know, Latino and black, you know what I'm saying? So I've always been one of those people who are like, you know, two black for the Latinos and two Latino for the black, you know, just I've always been one of those people, you know what I'm saying? And so like I always try to get in where I fit in, but it's like people try to put me in a box, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that's why, as an artist, you know, even though I'm doing like, you know, some decent numbers and everything, that's why I haven't been invited to any of these platforms, because, you know, it's like maybe I'm not Chicano enough, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe I'm not this enough or that enough. You know, everybody always want to put a label on you, you know,
Yeah.
especially in these society, you know? So it's just like whatever's
Well,
clever, you know what I'm saying?
well,
Maybe, you know, this is a good chance to have some type of discord with my community, because I've been trying to reach out to y'all for so long, type of shit. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna say this, dude, and there's one thing, Brown, and again, Flo, everyone knows. I don't care about the clout. I don't care about all that shit. You can come on my podcast. I'll get your story needs to be heard. I don't discriminate. If people tell me, oh, he ain't raza and all that stuff, I bring everyone on, dude. Like everyone. And they all know I don't discriminate. So if you want to come on my podcast, you DM me. We'll make it happen. We'll schedule a date, homie, because your story needs to be heard.
I'm with it, man. You know, I got some pretty good stories, you know, that a lot of people need to hear. You know, I did shows with Kid Frost. I've did, you know, songs with Rocky Padilla, you know what I'm saying? A lot of, you know, I did songs with MC Shy D
Ooh,
and The Game,
ooh.
you know, and also, you know, up and coming artists, you know, like Westside JC, and a lot of, you know, yeah, just a lot of people I've worked with in my time, and I have a, you know, knowledge of wealth, you know, in my 29 years, you know what I'm saying, that I can share and inspire people, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, this is my first time, you know, really putting myself out there like that, you know what I'm saying? I don't really be, you know, trying to, like you said, search for clout or
Nah,
fame or any of that, you know what I'm saying? I love making music, and I love doing, you know, visual art, and I love reaching out to my people, you know what I'm saying? So I like to really make this a consistency, you know, and a continuity with you guys, you know what I'm saying, coming on and speaking.
that's awesome,
Yo,
man. Yeah, man.
that'll be that'll be dope, bro. That'll be, you know, because I mean, really, what it is, bro, is I'm just trying to make people bring these questions to kind of like trigger certain things, right? That's my thing, you know what I mean? Like, you know, asking these questions triggers certain things, and it makes you more wanting to care about things in society, right? Because a
Yeah,
lot of us just we're too busy, bro. I mean, really, I mean, we're too busy all the time, and we really don't sit down and just communicate. I don't really talk to my neighbors. My neighbors don't have the time. They don't have the luxury of time to sit down and talk, right? And so that's I think most neighborhoods are like that. You know what I mean? We need to
Yeah,
have conversations I can say, for the betterment of our society with brown people, right? And I'm saying brown people as a whole. Like,
big
I'm not
fact.
saying just a certain type. You know what I mean? So with that said, you know, we've been put down for so long in regards to citizenship, right? Who's legal, who's not, right? What does American citizenship mean to you? What does that mean? You know what I mean? That carries a lot of weight. But what does that mean in your eyes? Go ahead, Steven. You can answer that.
you know, a lot of those people who are coming from a lot of those different countries in South America, Central America, to escape persecution, corruptions, and gangs, and for them to come to the United States and to, you know, hopefully one day they can be citizens, man. Those are the true Americans right there, man, because they're just looking, they just want to live their life. They want to be at peace
Yes,
where there's no
sir.
drama and crime and killing and all that. And they work hard. And I see a lot of that stuff when I was living in Central Valley. A lot of immigrants came and they work hard and stuff. And I talked to them, and that's one thing you were saying earlier. We need to sit down and really get to know our neighbors and our friends, or even the people we have on and stuff like that, to really understand. So there won't be no assumptions. There won't be no like, oh, I don't like them because I don't agree with them. No, I learned so much stuff from Gil from American Cholo. Hey man, we're just having a conversation to see if we can resolve our differences. But for them, they come to America and stuff, and they work hard and they do whatever. But at the same time, a lot of the Mexicans or people who are from United States, you know, they don't want to do this and all that. It really starts in the household with your mom and dad, how they raise you, if you're disciplined or not and stuff. But when you have people coming from different countries to America and they know how it is, like, you know, education, you know, we work hard, you know, it's always family. It's like they have that bond, they have that structure. And sometimes in a way, it's like we think to ourselves, how come we don't have structures in our family like that?
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. You wanna hop on that real quick on that same question, Bebecito?
Yes, sir. My dad, he's from El Salvador, you know, first generation. And on my mom, you know, she's Cubana, but, you know, also has, you know, Mexican, you know, roots and stuff like that. And man, it took my dad like almost 30 years to get a citizenship. You feel me? He
Damn.
escaped the Civil War in
Yeah.
85. You feel me? He came to, it's funny because he left one war zone and then he came to another war zone, which was South Central. And
Damn.
yeah, you know, it was active in the 80s. Everybody knows, you know what I'm saying, what a time it was, you know, if you go back and do the history and the knowledge. But it's like, yeah, I see my dad, you know, we worked our way up from living in the garage, you know, to you know, now they got a, you know, nice, you know, suburban, you know, two bedroom home, you know, 2-story home, you know what I'm saying? They're doing good, you know what I'm saying? But that's all through sheer hard work, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've thugged it out in all the craziest trenches, you know what I'm saying? We've lived in the craziest motherfucking alleys and shit like that. Excuse my language, you know what I'm saying? I just
Yeah.
getting all fired up right now, you know what I'm saying? But I just seen the American dream, you know, which is my dad, you know what I'm saying? Coming from El Salvador, you know, from you know, having to jump trains, you know, going through Mexico as a kid, you know, he said he ran from the Federales, you know, and you know, stabbed like a railroad spike, you know, stabbed through his hand, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
it's
man.
crazy, you know, like my dad has scars and, you know, he just came up real tough in El Salvador, you know, they snatched him up when, you know, he was 12 to become a child soldier, you know what I'm saying?
Damn. Yeah. Yeah. I heard about
And
that.
he actually deserted the Salvadorian army to come over here in 85. And then, you know, he went to South Central and then, you know, he met my mom, you know, going to Downey High and stuff like that. And yeah, you know, we just been all over, you know, as a family trying to make it, trying to strive, you know, trying to, you know, move on up and shit. You know, we've lived in apartments and in the ghetto and, you know, to, you know, nicer homes in the suburbs and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, you just got to thug it out and, you know, don't try to flex or flaunt like you're bigger than what you are. You know, even J. Cole said in one of his songs, you know, to, you know, rap from the level that you're at. You feel me? Like, that's
Ooh.
what I've always stuck by, you know, the mentality, like, I'm not going to act like I have it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to just, you know, floss at the level that I'm at. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, even my style, you know, my bad for going into this tangent, you know what I'm saying? I'm a you know, give up the floor, you know, in just a
All good,
second. I just wanted to get
brother.
this
All
off.
good.
But even my style, my swag, you know, my stilo, you know what I'm saying, is influenced a lot, you know, by vintage, you know, 90s swag, because, you know, that's all we could afford, you know, was thrift store, you know. So I had to make do with the thrift store clothes, you know, with the swag that they had inside there. So I would find like a 90s starter tee. I would find, like, you know what I'm saying, some fly shit and piece it together, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's that
Yeah.
raspachismo, you know what I'm saying? Like, even Cheech talks about that word, raspachismo, making something out of nothing. You know, that's always been our you know, stilo, you know, in America. You feel me? Is making something out of nothing, you know, until we climb the ladder and stuff like that. And yeah, you know, I've always pieced together, you know, some fits from the thrift, you know, swagging out, you know, with some vintage starter or some, you know, sports specialty script, you know, freaking hat, you feel me? Just you know, swagging it out, you feel me? Not giving a fuck. My dad has said, like, it doesn't matter what you wear as long as that shit is ironed, you feel me?
Hey, they always said about Salvador people. They always say when they come, bro, they know how to fucking hustle, and also because they've been through so much shit in that country that they have that mental strong. Like, they can just like, hey, we're here living in a garage. We're gonna live here in a 2-story house. I'm gonna do whatever. they have that mental game, because there's a lot of guys be like, if it's too much pressure, they fucking break. But with Salvadorian men, dude, it's hustle, dude. It's hustle.
Oh yeah, that's my dad for sure. You know what I'm saying? He's the epitome of hustle. You know what I'm saying? This dude, like I said, we made it from bottom to the top for real. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying like we're oh my gosh, living like the Joneses or
Yeah.
whatever, but at the same time, we're the fam is doing well, and they're living healthy, and I'm just grateful for how far we came. You know what I'm saying? And that's the American dream. And yeah, we could turn a negative into a positive. You know what I'm saying? Like, oppression, builds, some of the biggest giants. You feel me? We've seen Slumdog Millionaires, pop up, so.
Yeah. Just having you on and getting to know you, and like, to me, I don't want to do less talk. I think what me and Brown know, like, we're podcasters. We want to have the guests, like, talk and stuff, so we can kind of understand and get where you're coming from and all that stuff, and have a good flow, so we can kind of click on certain parts. But hearing your story, and you're very passionate, and you're very strong, dude. It would, to me, if I have you on my podcast, it's probably one of the most smoothest, like, uplifting and inspiration episodes I'll probably ever have in my history of the podcast.
Yo, that shit will be tight, man. Excuse my language once again, my bad, but but I'm super down, just let me know whenever it's clever, we could talk in the DM and figure
Hell yeah,
something
man.
out for real.
Yeah, there's one thing about me. I think Brown. I always want to say tell Brown, because I want to let him know, and everyone. A lot of people is like, hey, I want to come on the podcast and stuff. It's just the energy and stuff, but at the same time, if I want to bring a guest on, like, it's already a done deal. I like to take them out to lunch. I like to have a conversation with them, like, the whole day, and get to know my guests and everything, so it'll be a good flow and all that stuff. Because that's the thing where a lot of podcasters needs to start doing. When you bring guests on, like, you already know it's cool. But if it's like a first-time guest or whatever, you want to show them that hospitality, who I am, and this is who I am, this is how I conduct myself, and just show, like, hey, this is who I am in real life. Because there's a lot of listeners that would really want to know a podcaster's life. I see that here and there, but there's a lot of people who are very curious.
Yeah, man.
I
Let's
hear
keep
that.
it going with this last question right here. I know you fellas, well, you know what I mean? Like, you guys have a lot of wealth of knowledge. Like, we've heard it before, like, where they say, like, people make the money, money don't make the individual, money don't make the person, right? But, like, it seems that nowadays, especially it happens more so with youngsters and stuff. I mean, it happens with everyone, but I'm saying, like, the sense of belonging kind of sometimes comes from, it derives from wanting to impress, wanting to, fit in, wear the latest things. And if, people clown on you when you're not wearing the latest shit, especially youngsters, they got to wear them Jordans. They got to, you know what I mean? My kids are going through that right now. You know what I mean? I'm telling them, talking to them, like, sometimes I'm not going to be able to afford them. You know what I mean? It's just going to happen. That's life. You know what I mean? Sometimes we can't have everything we want in life. We got to work hard to get everything in order, right? But
Yeah.
how would you promote that to youngsters in your way? I mean, in what way would you promote, the what's it called? Just being able to be okay with not having something, just so they can, like, belong and stuff.
Not having
Yeah, go ahead.
something, like, if you're like a person that's working hard, you didn't have everything, and pretty much in a way, when a lot of people always kick you down and everything, just keep on doing it. Because what I learned about podcasts in the beginning stages, like, with a lot of these major podcasters, they're really, like, they were, like, so envious, like, no one's gonna take me down. Until I realized, Brown, when they were testing me, it's like, okay, this is a starter, let's see what he's all about. Like, maybe I was gonna quit at 8 or 9. And even though I found out this is a trippy story, they kept on talking a lot of shit about my podcast, whatever. It's like, okay, he's at episode 30, 50, 60, whatever. I kept on going, until I realized a lot of the hate, the negativity, drama was, like, slowing down. And I noticed when I kept on doing it and bringing a lot of people on my podcast, when I saw them, like, I haven't seen them in years, and they were like, Steven, I just want to let you know, I apologize. Dude, I respect, like, you're still doing the fucking podcast and everything. And that was like George Perez, Felipe Esparza, Martin Moreno, you know, like, and some other, like, other ones, like, I'll tell you off air, Brown. But, you know, they're always getting nothing but love. They're like, I can't believe you're still doing it. And me for being on, finally a first guest on Be Real TV, like, I'm just trying to pave the way, like, who's going to watch this live and any future podcasters, they're going to learn the knowledge on this live, or who with anyone podcast, like, well, fuck, if they did it, I can fucking do it. So it's almost like there's another generation of Latino and Latina podcasters coming up, to the point they're like pretty much in a way like 23 steps ahead of us. It's you're seeing a lot on these 2 minutes because they're posting a lot of stuff on TikTok.
Well, we just seen, you know, the brown bag podcast, you know, they're on Power 106 now, so we seen how far, you know, our voices are reaching, you know. Even people like Cece the Mamacita, you know, speaking on 92, I don't want to get the radio station wrong, you know what I'm saying, but, you know, even Cece the Mamacita, she's a voice on radio, you know what I'm saying. That's Latino presence, you know.
I only have a problem with that right there. Even though they Power 106 got brown bag and all, when are they going to start playing our music?
That's a good question, but I mean, it's program directors and stuff like that, you know, who have the say so of that, you know. That's just like, I don't know, that's above my pay grade.
Did you know? Did you hear the story about King Little G? You know, King Little G was invited on Power 106. You know, I mean, you know, Power 106, and they interviewed. Okay, you did interview, but you haven't played not one fucking song from King Little G. You interview on Power 106, but usually the way, if you're going to interview a person, hey, this is his hot single, check it out, boom. They didn't do shit. It just went too fucking commercial.
Yeah, there's a lot of artists, you know, who need to be, yeah, there's a lot of artists who need, you know, the recognition, you know, with King Lil G being one of them, you know what I'm saying? I seen, you know, his come up in his branding and his, you know, like marketing is genius to me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's people like Drummer Boy, you know, there's people, you know, all throughout the whole, you know, California who need that look, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's thanks to people like you with platforms and podcasts, you know, that let us, you know, voice our opinions and you know, get our voice out there, you feel me? So it's thanks to y'all, for real.
You know, with Brown, I like the lives that he does. You know, it brings people together, see where we can resolve our differences, and kind of think like, all this time you thought you were right, but actually when you saw the stuff and everything, you're like, oh fuck, I was wrong. It kind of, it's a mixture of feelings and this, whatever, but it makes you kind of think and wonder, like, there's something that you can change something in your brain to be, you know, I didn't know about that. Next time I know, and you be more cool and more smooth, where it's like you kind of tone it down.
I hear that, man.
Yeah, Bebecito. So what's your point of view on that, carnal? I mean, what's your point of view on the whole, I mean, how would you express this this form of understanding for youngsters to kind of embrace that it's okay to not have to have certain things in order to belong with whoever they want to belong, right? How would you take this?
I hear exactly what you're saying, man. I remember, even earlier when I spoke of my dad speaking of the principle, like whatever clothing item you have, make sure that's ironed, you know, make sure it's washed, you feel me? So you could have, you know, clothes that I guess are, you know, aren't pop into today's standards, but you can make them look clean, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's where, you know, a lot of my family from Cuba, they tell me, you know, like, yo, these people don't have like a grip of, you know, clothes, you know, or a big wardrobe, you feel me? But they make do with what they have, and they keep that shit creased like a motherfucker, you know, like just all stiloed up, creased up, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's just, you got to make do with what you have, you know what I'm saying? And even if you don't have name brand shoes, you know, rock them shit, sell it, you know, have confidence, be like, yeah, these are LA gears, but I'm making them look popping. I got swag, you know, you need to get some LA gears too. I don't know what you're doing wearing them cliche Nikes, you feel me? You just got to sell it, you feel me? Like WWE, you know, they walk out there, you know what I'm saying, and they sell their character, you feel me? Like, you know, you just got to, man, walk that shit with pride, you know, make sure your shit's ironed. make sure your shit's creased up, make sure you're looking spiffy, you're looking sharp, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, you could go to the thrift store and get some fucking feed 'em ass shirts, you know, especially if you go to the thrift stores in the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? You could get some gems for cheap, you feel me? And you could iron them shits up, throw it in the dry cleaners, you feel me? Get some fucking some dope ass Levi's or corduroys. They have some fly vintage shit, and you know, go to different thrift stores and shit. You're gonna find something, you know, for cheap. That, man, I found some gems in the thrifting, you know, life, and you know, vintage trading, and you know, a lot of that stuff which is created by our community, Rasa. If you go to my page, you know, it says Street Vintage Kings, and that's a group, you know, that's Rasa, you know, that has massive collections of, you know, vintage clothing, you feel me? So we always rock our shit loud and proud, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, you gotta sell it, you feel me?
Fuck yeah.
Don't let them see
Damn,
you
bro.
sweat. Don't let them see you weak. Don't let them see you, you know,
No.
all toe down. You feel me? You got to hold your head high, and you got to rock what you got on with pride. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just like the kids, man, just fucking suck it up, man. Get that tough love, man. Like, you know, I don't want to see these commercials like, ow. He's like, ow. And he gets hit again. Ow, my pussy hurts. I don't want to see those type of guys like that. Like,
Stupid.
always have that tough love, man. Just, hey, man, that's what I was taught. I mean, my mom was never around, or sometimes my dad. I had to learn my own, but I survived.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Hey, that was beautiful, bro. I mean, that's what it is, bro. You got to make do with what you got. Dude. That's fucking dope, man. See, I wish someone would have schooled me up like that. So you know, people fucking like youngsters, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you feel like shit, bro. You really feel like shit when you know that others be rocking certain things and you want certain things. You're like, fuck, man. Why I gotta be so fucking broke? Why my family
Oh
gotta be so
yeah,
broke, right?
Hey,
I
It's
man.
crazy
remember.
though.
I
Go ahead.
remember. I remember in my time, like, you know, these Damon Stoudemire's or Scott, something like Jordans were coming out, and I see everyone wearing them, and it's like my shoes were like, I need some new shoes, and like my mom's like, we're gonna go to Payless shoe store, whatever, you know, and this high school, they look at each other like, you suck or you poor. They already know you. So I was like, I can't wear no fucking Airwalks at fucking Payless. It's like, I'll get clowned on. And I was like, because, you know, there was incidents where kids went home because they were clowning on because of your fucking shoes. So pretty much in a way, I was like, no. Then my mom was like sad, like, what am I gonna do? So at the time, my mom kind of knew my you know, my dad's brother. It's like, had a little money, but she kind of begged, like, you think of a way you can buy Steven some shoes, like some Nikes and stuff like that. He's like, oh yeah, no, whatever, because he was a huge Nike head. So he bought me some shoes, and my mom cried like, oh my god, I got you these, but it was from Uncle Leah's. So when I wear these nice ass Nike shoes and stuff, while I was walking, no lie, all the people were looking at me. The first thing they saw, they all stared at my fucking shoes, and they were like, oh, those are fucking tight, Steven. Oh, good Nikes. Like, dude, that saved me like fucking 4 months of fucking bullying.
Hey, yo, real quick, Brown Mexico, he said something that I was reading in the chat. He said, you know, just work for it. That's a good point too. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, when I was like a certain age, you know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, you know, the fam's not gonna, you know, keep buying me stuff. You know, I'm fucking old enough to get a job. I have various skills, you know, that they taught me, you know, hey, cut grass, get a landscaping job. You know what I'm saying? I did that shit, you know. I fucking, you know, got it out the mud, literally. So it's like I did every little odd job you could fucking think of coming up. You know what I'm saying? I've worked the stands in Salinas Rodeo, fucking selling candy and, you know, popcorn and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I've you know, humbled myself and did odd jobs. You know, I would go to festivals, you know, to get tickets into the festival. You know, I would work for whatever food vendor was, you know what I'm saying, in there. You know, and then I would still be able to see the show, you know, but I'm just putting in work all day. You feel me? Never
Yeah.
be afraid to get your hands dirty. You know what I'm saying? If you want to look good, if you want to stunt, if you want to have some fits, you know, dripped up and draped out, you got to fucking, you know, yeah, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. You got to make that money. You know what I'm saying? And
Damn.
you know, we're not lazy people. You feel me? You know,
Yep.
there's a big number of people, you know, that's lazy today, but you know what I'm saying? For the general majority, you know, the you know, average, you know, Latino or Hispanic or, you know, Chicano, you know what I'm saying, is, you know, or even Native American, you know what I'm saying? Like we're able-bodied working people and we do this shit, you know what I'm saying? So don't be lazy, you know what I'm saying? If you want to look good, if you want to have the fits, you gotta, you know, you gotta have the money, you gotta have the bread. So, you know,
Yeah.
do whatever you gotta do,
Uh,
you know, within legal confines. There's so many legal ways of getting money now, you know?
no doubt, fellas. Hey, well, we're gonna wrap this group right quick so we can get to the next people's perspectives and stuff. Because I know some people want to come in.
Yeah.
It's getting late, so I don't want to wait. You know, have people waiting and stuff. But hey, fellas, real quick, Steven, shout out. You know where people can because I'm gonna, you know, this is gonna be uploaded on Spotify and all that. So if people are listening, shout out your stuff so they can, you know, hit you up.
Yeah, just follow the Long Beach Social Experiment on Instagram. Check out the King Mexico episodes. Check out the recent one with fan questions. It's a pretty deep episode. Everyone's all talking about the situation, what happened with me and Tony A from Rhodium Radio. So everyone's all listening about that. And yeah, other than that, just chilling, just posting up conspiracies.
All right. All right, Bebecito, go ahead, man. Give your links to where people can hit you up. You know what I mean? In case they want to do work with you or whatnot.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Brown 96, man. Thank you for once again, you know, giving me the liberty to speak on here, man. I appreciate that for real. And you know, I'm BC, you know, artist name Bebecito on all streaming platforms. I have a grip of songs, you know, with a couple major artists. I'm also a graphic designer with major streetwear and album cover, single cover placements, you know what I'm saying? So I really does this, you know what I'm saying? Get up and grind every day, make it happen, you know? That's the only way, you feel me? So,
Oh, yeah.
hey, tap in, ITSBEBECITO. You know, check out the online store, check out the music, you know, streaming platforms, link in the bio. You see, you know, the resume, you feel me? So, yes, indeed. Thank you very much once again for tapping us in today.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. Have a good night, fellas.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
hey.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring in Flo and the Chicano marketer along with Yvette. Let's see if you guys are. Let's see who's still in here. Uh, Yvette, ¿estás lista, hermana? Let's see. Let's see where. Chicano marketer. You ready, carnal?
What up, brother?
What up, Flo? Buenas noches.
What's up,
Good
Yvette?
Buenas
evening, guys. Good evening. Good evening, Yvette.
First time I actually got on with Yvette. You know, we had DM conversations, you know, but we've never actually been on together.
Yeah,
So it's
this
good
is
to
gonna be
finally actually talk.
I can't wait for this plática. I really can't, you know, because yeah,
That's
yeah,
all
yeah.
I wanted
Let's
to
see,
learn.
is Chicano marketer? Oh, he declined. I don't think he's gonna be able to. But so let's go ahead and get it started. So first off, belonging, not belonging in America. What does that mean in in the brown community? What does that mean to belong in America? And go ahead and give us a little brief on, you know, something that happened to you where you realized that you didn't belong or you did belong, that sense of belonging when you were younger. We're going to go kick it off with Yvette.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jessica Mati. Um, man, it's such a simple question, but such a loaded question at the same time. Um, and that's, I think to start, we have to define America, right? Because to me, when I think of America, I'm thinking of a continent. But when I experience and navigate the world, I automatically think of the United States and the American dream and um, not belonging, especially as a migrant. And I want to really define immigrant and migrant are not the same. I am indigenous to Mexico and I am a migrant. I am migrating within our land. I cannot be an immigrant. And I really want to emphasize that part. We're migrants, not immigrants. Immigrants are the Europeans, not us. um, but I think it didn't take for me to come to the U.S. to understand that I didn't belong, because it was my own people in Mexico, the first ones that put that on me. And like I shared before, we are from an indigenous community in Hidalgo, very small pueblito. Till this day, we don't have a freaking hospital. My pueblo just came on the map in 2016. Just so I also grew up in Mexico City. I went back and forth from mi pueblo in Mexico City, and it was in Mexico City when I was reminded that I didn't belong with my own people in my own country, the same nationality, but they're the ones that reminded me that I was outside the scope because I was the India. Era India patarrajada, go back to your pueblo. And now it's like, go back to your country in America. But it didn't take that much I guess it didn't really affect me because I knew what it was like to be different before I came to the US. And that, yeah, it's really sad. Yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. I hope that answers the question.
I mean, it's if that's your answer, that's that's perfect. That's a perfect. If that's your experience. I'm just trying to capture the experience of what it looks like for you as a female, Latina that has experienced both sides, and what I mean, that sense of belonging. I just want to have the audience captivate that and understand that and take that in. Flo, go ahead, carnal. The same question. What does it mean to belong in America? And give us a little brief on something where you realize that you belong or not belong.
For me, I think it came in stages, kind of like Yvette as well. When I was really young, about 3 or 4 years old, I remember having that conversation with my father and him letting us know, hey, you guys are American citizens, but you're also Mexican. So like that sense of identity was very early for me. Had that privilege, but he always let us know, don't let anybody tell you don't belong in this country. Like off the bat. So I kind of knew that very young, but obviously I grew up in a very predominantly Latino community, so I never really got to experience that type of discrimination from other ethnicities until I started getting out of my community. I think the first time where I felt some kind of discrimination was in the school where I was at. And this is back when I was trying to, make something of myself, I guess, right? Go into academia. And I remember, I'll never forget this because it changed my whole life. This teacher, I could tell, was not listening to what I was saying. I didn't have the best diction. I didn't have the best communication skills back then. I used to stutter a lot more. So the teacher made a comment along the lines of, I couldn't speak English, and that I really internalized that because I was like, what? Like, I never even saw myself like that, I mean, I never had ever told me that.
But
it still affects me today, to this day, like I speak the way I
see,
speak.
I think it's freezing up here. Yeah. Yeah,
hear me?
That's better. There we go.
All right. Yeah, so essentially that conversation, changed my whole trajectory. So I made it a very point of emphasis to never be told that again in my life. To be felt like I don't belong in this space, And when I went on to college, I majored in Chicano studies and then eventually history. So I think adding the history part to my academic career really helped me out because with Chicano studies, I obviously was getting a very biased perspective, and I wanted to see history from an unbiased perspective. So when I got that, I was able to see things a little differently, and I felt very proud that as a Chicano, I was in spaces that I didn't really see that many people, right? And you would think there'd be more historians, right, of Chicano descent or whatever. but there wasn't that many people in my department. I was one of the few. And I think from there on, wherever I stepped in, I always felt like I belonged. Even if somebody said I didn't belong, I didn't care. Matter of fact, I go into spaces where people say I don't belong on purpose, just maybe piss some people off, right? I guess I know that my wife has kind of talked about that, how she's felt that as well. Like if you go to the west side of town here in LA, obviously there's a lot more white folks. I don't care. I go wherever I want to, and I don't feel that way anymore. I used to for a long time. Being a brown skinned man, I mean, obviously, like Yvette was talking about, even in our own communities, feeling like like even that was a problem for a lot of people, like being dark skinned. But now it's like, I'm at a place where I've healed from a lot of these wounds, and I don't feel like I don't belong anywhere, whether it's here, whether it's Mexico, whether it's wherever I go to. I come at you with respect. And if you respect me, I'll do the same thing, and if you don't respect me, I mean, I'm not going to waste my time talking to you. Simple as that. And I don't care who you are.
Oh, love that. Love that. You know what? What you said, man. You don't care. You just go wherever, man. And that's the way we should feel, right? We should embrace who we are and go with it. Live life. I mean, damn, life is so short. You know what I mean? And a lot of us are so worried about what others are gonna think of us. And do we fit into this crowd, that crowd? Can I go there? Are they going to look at me weird because I'm a certain way, because I speak a certain way, because I have a, whatever, we're too concerned about that. And I love that. I love that. I love that. So now with this, what does it mean to be an American citizen? Like they put us down for so long, and they're still continuing to put us down in the form of denying our citizenship. They're literally locking up our kids in cages and doing all this madre, right? But now let's break down this phrase, American citizen. What is it? What does it look like? Should people that are born here even be considered as such when a lot of citizens don't even like contribute, right? So what does that look like? We're gonna kick it off with Yvette. Go ahead.
um, to me, being identified as American citizen, and especially within the migrant community, is obviously we continue to speak about a viable pathway to citizenship, which is more often than not denied for thousands, I mean millions of people that have been forcefully separated by an artificial border. So unfortunately, this is where we live, and this is the situation, the circumstances where we live. But I think that, I don't know, like it's more like about social status. And I go back to double colonization. I know that I've spoken about it before, but especially with the border towns, border states, when the colonizers became colonized, it became a fight for social status. And we are just trying to fit into that system because that's what gives you recognition. That's how you navigate the system. Unfortunately, there are spaces, and especially when it comes to political power, that you need to meet certain requirements. And if you don't have that, you cannot take space. So it's really a social status within a colonial system that has been forced on us, and it's necessary for us to get there. But I'm gonna share my a little bit of my experience on my. As indigenous people, we identify with the mother's lineage. So I identify as a Nahua person, not only because I was born and raised in my community, but because my family, through my mom's lineage, and her mom has been there for, as far as we know, we can trace our lineage to 1500s. However, on my mom's dad's side of the family, we are Yaka from Bakersfield. And my family was forcefully displaced during the time that the U.S. took the Mexican land and ordered the massacre and scalping of Native Americans. So generations later, we come back only to be told that we don't belong here, to go back where we come from, to be labeled as immigrants and illegals. But if you ask me, go back to where you came from, I want to go back to Bakersfield. You get me? Yeah, I want to go back with my people that I was denied the opportunity to grow with and to learn about, because they literally put a bounty on my ancestors' head. So how can you come and tell people like me, like us, like for the most part, most of us have a history of displacement because of colonial systems, including people from south, the Mexican border, from Guatemala, El Salvador. Like, don't even get me started with that journey, because it's a lot worse. What we put them through as Mexicans, going through Mexican territory. So being American citizen, it's just a social status, a class status. But honestly, you know, like I said, I'm an abolitionist. I don't want to fit into these fucking systems. That label means nothing to me. I agree with Flo. I go where I want. I do what I want. And if they don't like it, what's up? Like, what are they gonna do about it? But that's just me. That's just me. But yeah, that's my definition of American citizen.
Ooh, loving it, loving it. Flo, go ahead, carnal. So the question was, you know, what does it mean to be American citizen? What does that look like as a whole? Like, you know, I mean, there is the, you know, Webster's dictionary definition of it, right? But it goes deeper than that. To you, what does that mean?
I did a whole episode on this, on America and the term America, right, where it comes from first. There's some speculation that the term America is actually older than Europeans. So it's not even a European. It's the conception or misconception that Amerigo Vespucci is the one that named the place. Actually, is not. According to some records, it's believed that Europeans who went into what is not Colombia were hearing the word America, right? So like a variation of America, right? I have the whole video on YouTube if you want to watch it. Again, there's no definite proof of that, but that's a speculation, right? But today, just in contemporary times, when you think about America, I think of three things. I think about, and you've already mentioned it, right? The American dream. I think about freedom, but also our foreign policy, which is what she was talking about right now. Like, most people outside of the United States do not have a positive view on America, I would say, or the United States. They see us as you know, colonizers, or see us. And when I mean us, I'm not talking about like, you know, individual ethnicity. I'm talking about the nation, right? They see the people who are showing up to these places, right? Because sometimes it is brown faces going to different countries, and or black faces, you know, like in those areas, and they see us as conquerors, right? So I think it depends on what you're talking about. When I use the term American, you know, because I have used it, right? It's a nationality, like Yvette was talking about. It's a jurisdiction, right? I know some folks don't like it, don't like to use it, but an example of when I went to Mexico once, right? I remember they asked me, right, on my way back to the United States, the Federales stopped us. And at the time, my hair was a lot longer than it is today. So they probably thought that I was not from there, because I mean, people from that town didn't dress the way I was dressed. And she stopped us and she said, "Oh, you know, like, where are you from?" And or where are you, right? My initial response usually is Mexican or Chicano, right? But I thought about it for a second. I said, that's not what she's asking me. She's asking me what country I'm from. So I said, I'm an American citizen, right? If I would have said I'm a Mexican or, you know, something else, she would, okay, where's your paperwork? You're not from here. And that would have led to a whole different conversation. Me, you know, getting pulled out of the car, right? So I think these terms, you have to know how to use them, and you have to know how to navigate them. Because if you don't do that well, then it can lead you into trouble, unfortunately, right? It ain't fair. It's not right. But when I've used it, right, it's to my advantage. It's not to put other people down or to make people feel worse. I understand that I was born in this country, whether it's called America or whatever it was called back in the day. I mean, it is what it is now, you know? So I I use it in that sense, right? I use it to my advantage to be able to take advantage of the privileges that I have being born in this country. Because some folks don't. I mean, I have people in my family who don't have documentation, and unfortunately, because of that, they can't do a lot of things, you know. So when I was younger, though, I didn't like it. I didn't like the term, like Yvette, you know, was talking about. I didn't associate with the term for many, many reasons, right? But I've also come to accept that I am different in a lot of ways, because American is also a culture, right? A lot of the things that I do are American, right? I mean, I watch football, I speak English, I do a lot of things that people in my home country don't do. So even the term Chicano, it comes out of an American identity. So, you know, it's to me, it's a lot of things. It all depends on the individual, I would say. And for me, when I do use it, it is again to take advantage of the situation and take advantage of the privileges that I have as somebody who was born in this country.
Very, very well said. Yeah, it's privilege. That's a key word, privilege. We don't take into consideration some of these privileges we have. Like I have massive privilege, and I know it. I know it. You know, I'm a citizen. Like I was born here. You know what I mean? So like, and that's the thing though. Like that's another aspect that pushes me that I need to try hard for my people, right? I need to try hard because there's so many people that would like to be in my shoes right now, right? And I push this narrative to the children at the schools where I work at, right? I push this narrative where like, do you know how kids are living right now in Mexico? You know how privileged you are to be here and you're just wasting your time? I push this like agenda, I guess you can call it, right? Even to my kids, right? Like, man, you know, we're privileged. We're privileged big time. But that doesn't take away from the fact that there's a lot of you know, takeaway from from us in society también. You know, we gotta also understand that también. But anyway, so now with this last one before I switch it up to another group, like we all know what drives America, which is like, you know, propaganda, right? The news, you know, social media, putting in our heads like we need to dress this way, we need to dress this way, buy these things, and more so for the youngsters, right? So how would you promote this to a youngster for them to be okay with having what they have and not wanting to, you know, need Jordans or need something because the other person has it and they can't belong unless they wear the same things, right? So we're going to kick it off with Yvette.
Okay, I just want to give a little shout out real quick. Saludos a mi primo Huguito, que está aquí en los comentarios. No habla inglés, pero aquí está. Te mando un abrazote, primo. Gracias. Gracias por estar aquí. Un beso a toda la familia. My cousins on the comments, and I don't really like see them often, so I just wanted to acknowledge their
Bienvenido,
support.
carnal, bienvenido. Aquí también hablamos español, pero esto es Spanglish, ¿eh? Pero a ver si le entiendes poquito, pero ahí le vamos a ver.
Gracias, thank you. Well, hermano, I think it really comes down to the identity. Identity to me is the foundation of everything. And again, like I know that I speak about these things frequently and proudly, like I sound like a broken record, but let me tell you what gives me the biggest sense of identity and who I am as a person, just as an individual, right? Is to understand where I come from. One, who my people were, and not romanticize it, okay? Because we tend to think of decolonization and reconnection like if everything was perfect and there was no conflict and everything was like peace and love. That's some hippie bullshit, honestly. I'm just gonna say it how it is. Our people were not about peace and love. There were a lot of conflicts. It was not pretty. It was not perfect. But I will tell you that it was better than what we have right now. And we cannot go back. We cannot go back to what it was before. But we can rescue knowledge. We can rescue teachings and continue to grow. So for me, that sense of identity allows me to exist, show up unapologetic and authentic, and not seek approval from anyone else other than myself. That, that identity comes from a cosmovision, from my creation stories. Not only from my existence in this place and time, but the potential that I have and the responsibility that I carry. That's where we can go back to the privilege. Because, you know, if we're going to play like the casta system and try to find a place, we can find that we don't have it as bad as other people, but it does not minimize what we have gone through. It only means that we can recognize the tools that we have, privileges that we have, and act responsibly with those things. If we can share that with our children, with the next generations, where they don't have to go through the same things that we have gone through. That's the purpose. That's the intention, that we break that cycle, that they don't try to fit in with the capitalist superficial system, that they find their place within their community so they can act responsibly. It's not about making it easier for them or that they don't struggle. By all means, I want that pain to end, but I want them to do something good, to do something for their community, to restore the balance that has been interrupted for these years. So to me, again, it's about not only knowing where you come from and who you are, but now that you know, what are you going to do about it?
Beautiful, beautiful. Flo, go ahead, Carnal. Do you remember the question? Oh, yeah.
Can you
So
repeat it?
it was, how would you promote to others, especially youngsters, because I feel that they're being the ones that are going through this the most in the aspect of like they need to have certain things, right, in order to fit in with people. They need to have, wear certain clothing, shoes, whatever, because others will clown on them. Like, what advice or how would you promote this to a youngster for them to embrace what they already have and work with it? Just like Bebecito was saying earlier, you know what I mean? You got to play the cards you were dealt with and make it look nice, crisp it up.
Yeah, I would ask them, why do you need those shoes, or why do you need that specific brand or whatever? What's making you want that? And just having deconstruct all those thoughts and all those feelings, because a lot of the times comes from, oh, I don't belong, right? Which is your initial life, or what it's about is about belonging. A lot of these kids are doing that to belong, right? They feel like they need to do certain things to belong. And I know it's very hard at that age. I mean, when you're in middle school, high school, there is, I mean, human beings live in hierarchies, I mean, we always have since the beginning of the agricultural revolution, right? In the history of the world. And even in kids, you have hierarchies. So it's hard to deconstruct that, but at least getting them to think, okay, well, where's this coming from, right? Because if that's what you want to wear, I mean, and that because you like it, not because you need to fit in, that's a different story, right? I think that's the bigger thing, right? But also going back to what Yvette was talking about in capitalism, right? You're essentially going to be a walking billboard for a lot of these companies. You're not even getting paid, So that's another thing you can tell them. Hey, look, like, hey, you can wear these Nikes, you can wear these brands, but are they paying you you're paying them to wear their clothes, right? To promote them, right? So at least if you're going to be a walking billboard, get some money out of it. That's what I would say to them, just joke around with them. I mean, I've been working with youth for a very long time, so I got my ways to kind of get in their head. But, ultimately what Yvette said too, I mean, it's just, I think personal identity is a big role into how you can deconstruct that. And right now what I do is I facilitate young men's groups where we talk about identity. And one of the things that we do is we start, with the broader terms like race, ethnicity, right, economic status, but ultimately I think for me what's easier to connect is your genealogy, your personal family. Like you talked about, you go back to the 1500s. That's a privilege to be able to know that much knowledge, especially about Native people. I mean, most of us don't even know our native tongue or don't even know our native ethnic group. So that right there, gives you a lot of power, because you don't need somebody to tell you, hey, you don't belong to this, or you need this to be part of this. So starting with your family tree, right, as far as you can go, being proud of that. Bebecito was talking about his dad, right? How his dad, you know, he came to this country, and so doing that, like, you know, like, where do you come from, right? What's what your parents do, you know? And a lot of these kids do not know. They don't even, if even if they're born here or the parents came here, right? They don't have any idea how they got here. And to me, I always found that very, very baffling, because I always been curious to know where, you know, where does Yvette come from, or where does Brown come from, right? But my own parents, I always asked them, you know, how was life in Mexico when you were a kid? And my grandparents, you know, I'm very fortunate to have my great grandmother, who's still alive, over 100 years old. She was born in an hacienda, doesn't know how to read, right? But the wealth of knowledge that woman has, and all the stuff she went through, gives me the pride to not give a crap about what I have to wear. I mean, I got shoes that are like years old. You know, my wife's always making fun of me. She's like, "Look, you need some new shoes here." Like, I'll buy them for you. I can wear clothes for years, bro. I mean, like, I'm at a point where I don't really care about brands and, you know, and things like that. So I think for sure being confident in your own self and your abilities is more important than being a walking billboard. And that's what I would say to them, you know, like, what do you present to this world? Why do you need something to let other people know that you're valuable? Like, no, that's not going to give you any value. You know, you need to find something within yourself that's part of you that's going to make you a valuable person, because everybody has something that makes them valuable. I mean, they just don't recognize it. So that's what I do. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. So that's a method I would use.
You know, another thing that comes to mind with this whole why dress a certain way. I mean, wealthy people don't be wearing that stuff. They don't be going on trends and all that. They're simple people. They wear simple things. So if they would have that successful vision of what a successful person looks like, you know what I mean? Let's promote that instead. Let's stop this whole Jordan mania and let's go on painting a perfect picture of what a wealthy person here and here looks like, right? Let's go with that. But gracias hermana, gracias Flo. You want to go ahead and tell the gente that's listening to it on the audio platforms where they can find you, Yvette?
Thank you. You guys can find me on any platform. My Facebook's still down. I don't know what the hell I did, but you can find me as Yvette Xochitl. I know it's a little bit hard to spell. It just means heart of the flower. If you can figure that one out, that's how you can find me everywhere. Yvette Xochitl. And I add something real quick?
What was that? I'm sorry?
Can I add just one last
Oh,
thought
yeah.
before
Go ahead.
And it just goes to the point of the brands and identity. So I'm an advocate, right? Half of the time when I'm working with families, I have to work in very like professional, quote unquote professional settings, courtrooms, hospitals, even police departments, because I need to talk to the police on behalf of these families, you know, make sure they're doing their job. But let me tell you that I've never felt so freaking badass. I've never felt more powerful, more chingona than when I walk into these type of spaces, white supremacist type of spaces, in my huaraches, full rebozo, and looking cute as fuck. That's how I reclaim my power. Thank
There it
you.
is.
Beautiful. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Flo. Where can people catch you, or where can people like reach you at?
All right, so this is about my Instagram. Obviously, you can find me on this, but if you want to find me on, because I have a podcast as well, and where I mainly talk about history and just political issues. But if you want the exact location, it's at f.l_o.w_. But if that's too much for you to type up, just go to my personal page. I have the link to all the audio platforms. I'm mainly on YouTube, you know, but I also have stuff on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. My initial goal when me and Brown started this, I don't know if anybody who's on here that don't know, we started this together a while back. I used to call it Rasta Stand. That was the original name of it. But we went our own ways. He's doing his own thing. I'm doing my own thing. But if you just go to the YouTube page, you'll see that my intention is to educate people. It's not to get people upset or to get clout, or a lot of these pages, what they're about. Sometimes the stuff that I say, it's just not going to be things people are going to agree with, or it might go against narratives that people don't like, and that goes with white, brown, black narratives. It doesn't matter. I mean, I challenge everything. That's just what I do. Again, as a historian, my intention is to do that. It's to dig deep into things and give you sources and make you think. Never to convince you to think how I think. That's not my intention. Like, if you don't agree with me, go for it. Go read the sources. Like I said, I provide you the sources. I'm not just going to say something and be like, hey, this is what I'm saying. Go read it. Please go read it. And yeah, I mean, that's what I do. And hopefully those of you who have heard it or listened to my stuff, you enjoy it, share it. And I got something really cool coming up. Speaking of identity, coming up next month that talks about, personal identity, my personal identity. And I'll leave it at that.
Guys, beautiful. Gracias for coming on the live and giving your point of view, Yvette. Gracias, Flo. And have a good night, guys. I'm going to bring in the last two people on here so we can wrap it up. Gracias. Appreciate it.
Wally, yo, Wally.
See, well, froze. Sorry, go. There we go. So I'm going to send it out to Pete. Chicana State of Mind platform. Ahí te va, carnal. Hope you're ready. And I did ask Rosana, not sure if she read, but if not, then I can send it to someone else también. Let's see. Oh, what's up, carnal? There you are. I was sending the ¿Cómo estás, carnal? How you doing?
Doing.
A ver, who's joining? Okay, wait, is she joining? Oh, she did. Okay. A ver, ¿con qué tenemos gusto? Who's on the live here?
Oh, all right.
So go ahead.
This is Aaron. I had the other way around. Hey, I don't know how much time I have left because I'm at the mountain and I'm using the Wi-Fi from the bar, and I'm like parked right in front of it. I was on my way out, but then I tuned in and I'm like, let me chill for a bit. So they're about to close. So I don't know how long I have.
Órale, go ahead and introduce yourself, carnal. I don't think I have the pleasure of having the conversation with you here on the live, carnal. What's your name?
So it's Aaron, but
Aaron? Okay.
yeah, in Nahua it's Ashoken. So
Ashoken.
real quick, Aaron in English is heron. Heron's a bird. It's the great blue bird. And so that's where the place of Astran. So the place of Astran is the place of herons. And so then I figured there's got to be a word for it in Nahua. And then I found out it's Ashoken.
Ashoken. Okay. Mucho gusto, man.
Yeah.
Pete, buenas noches. How are you, carnal? ¿Todo bien?
I'm good. I am
That's right.
lit. I am lit, brother. I'm ready to. I'm a fucker.
Eso mero, bro. Eso mero. All right, carnales.
Bro, I found
Belonging.
this when I was moving. Shit. I was like, I'm going to keep it for safeguarding.
Órale. Belonging versus not belonging in America. You know what I mean? Like, we grown up with that sense of belonging or not belonging, right? In certain parts of our lives. But what does it mean to belong in America as a brown individual? And can you give us a little brief on events where you felt that sense of belonging or that sense of not belonging? We're going to kick it off with Aaron. Go ahead, carnal.
All right, so I'll give you a story. So when I was, I think, about 26 or so, my cousin was like, "Hey, let's go to on a brief one." He was like, "Hey, let's go to Rosaritos tonight, like on a jumpy mode, And I was like, "Shit, I don't have my green card with me because I'm a resident. I'm not a citizen." He's like, "Fuck it, let's just go." I don't have my passport, and he's a citizen. And then he's like, "Let's just go. Grab your girl, and I'll grab my girl, and let's roll." I'm like, "Fuck it, let's go." I didn't know what was the worst case scenario, and the two girls, they didn't have their passports either, but they were citizens, right? So we go, we have a good time, we come back, we hit the border patrol, and then they're like passports, and then all three of them go, oh, we don't have them, but and this is, you know, after 9/11, so you know, they got strict with it, and then they're like, okay, let me see your IDs. So they all three of them give IDs. They're like, all right, just note that next time you need your passport. So a little slap in the hand, you know, nothing big. So when it came to me, they're like, what about you? And I'm like, oh, well, here's my ID. So I gave him my ID, and then he looks me up. He's like, you're not a citizen. And then I'm like, yeah, but I'm a permanent resident. And he's like, yeah, you know, you have to carry your green card with you, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but we all just kind of took off, you know, we just went to go eat and we're back. He's like, I can't let you through. And I'm like, well, you're letting them through and they don't have their passport. And then he's like, yeah, but they're citizens. They're coming home. You're not. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, what you mean? I've been there my whole time, you know, my whole life. And then he's like, yeah, but Mexico's your home, not here. So you can either you know, if your card's at home, you could have your cousin go pick it up and you stay behind and wait for him, or you could pay a fine. I'm like, a fine? What you mean? He's like, yeah, you could pay $700 for not carrying your card and I'll let you through. Now I'm like, oh, so this is a economic bullshit little thing, you know? This is capitalism at its best. So you'll take my money, but you won't take my ID card. And he's like, it is what it is. I'm like, fuck that. So then I'm like, fuck that. I want to talk to a supervisor. So then they're like, all right, pull through and park to the side. So then we're right there. They had us waiting forever too, just fucking waiting, right? And I was getting more fired up as the minutes went by, because now I'm realizing what it's like to not be a citizen for the first time ever. I didn't know what that was like. So then I'm getting fired up, and then this other border patrol comes by, and he's like, okay, so it looks like one of you forgot your green card. And I'm like, yeah, just me. All three of them are citizens, but they use their ID or their driver license. And, you know, I don't see why I can't do the same. Knowing that in the system, it shows you I'm a permanent resident. So I'm legal. I'm documented. What's the problem? And they're like, well, it is what it is. Policy. You got to pay $700, you know, pay up or go back to the other side. And it fired me up more because he was black. So I was like, bro, you really going to come at me with that energy? Like, after, you know, knowing what the true history of this fucking country is, how they treated your people and how they've treated my people. And it almost like it triggered him. He's like, what you mean, my people? I'm like, you know exactly what I mean. I'm from Compton. I see how they treat us. You know, I don't need to be black to know how they treat you. And I'm like, you really going to side with these fools? So I was fired up. And he was like, you're not from here. You know, you and me have nothing in common. I don't care where you live. And I was like, what? And then he like raced up on me. He was tall. So he raced up his chest. I raced up my chest. I was ready to fight. I was just fired up. And then another supervisor comes by, a white dude, right? And he actually is super cool. And he's like, the first one was brown, by the way, the first one that checked us. And then the white supervisor, he comes through and he's like, come to my office. And he's like, just cool down for a bit. He's like, look, I get it. It's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. But that's how this country is. It's all about money. If you could afford it, pay the $700. If not, go back to Mexico, wait on your cousin to bring the green card, right? And I'm like, it's not that I can't afford it. I got the money, but I don't see why pay when you can see in the system clearly that I'm documented. All you're going to see is look at my ID card anyways, the residence card, and then just be like, all right, have a nice day. So why can't you just do that now? He's like, I can't. That's just policy. So I'm like, all right, I'll take my $700 and I'll go to fucking TJ and have a good ass time while my primo goes and gets the card. And he's like, all right, do what you got to do. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I am. I'd rather spend my money over there. And I fucking went back, right? And I was fired the fuck up. And that's the first time I really realized, like, damn. And that's me. I have the privilege that my primo's going to go get my card, right? So what about the people that don't have that privilege? And that's when I put myself back in that undocumented shoes. And that's why I started going hard for people that are not documented. That's why I started doing my research. That's why I started doing my history. So I could really pound these fools with history. And, you know, at the moment, all I could do was to hit them with the treatment of black people and brown people. But I didn't know all the native history. I didn't know the indigenous history. I didn't know manifest destiny. I didn't know, the discovery, the doctrine of discovery. I didn't know all those things yet. I didn't know the Treaty of Hidalgo. I didn't know those things yet. So I wanted to load up as much as I can on information and education so I could pound these fools and just really make them fucking feel stupid. Because that's how I wanted them to feel. I wanted them to feel what I was feeling. Because I felt so stupid to leave without a stupid card that just says you're legal. Pass by. So then that's it. That's my story right there of, you know, I don't know if that answered your question or not, but that's the best I can give you.
Bro, that's I love that perspective, carnal. You know what I mean? Like I said before, you know, there's no right or wrong answer, bro. You know what I mean? Everyone's experience and stuff, you know, it's valid, bro. That's your valid experience, your valid answer to this you know, question that we're talking about belonging or whatnot. Pero along with that, bro, Pete, I don't know if you can remember the question. So, what does it mean to belong in America as a brown individual? And can you give us a little example of something that you remember of like being like, damn, you know what I mean? When I was a youngster, you know, they would treat me a certain way because of X and Y reason, right? Go ahead, Carnal.
Man, I don't know if I can top head on the story, but that shit was fucking lit. It had me fired. I was ready to be like, what's up, food? You know, like start shooting food. But wow, that was a fucking mean ass story, bro. Shit. You know what? I've had so many experiences of not belonging that I kind of got used to it at sometimes. But I think the earliest one I can remember was when I was in, I think it was first grade. I had just started living with my grandma and my mom. I always spoke Spanish with my mom, never spoke English, always Spanish with my mom. And I went to first grade and no hablaba nada de inglés, no hablaba yo nada. The teacher would speak to me and I wouldn't talk because I didn't know what to say. I was just, and I remember that me retrasaron, pero no porque porque no hablaba, sino porque hablaba español, like I spoke Spanish. So I felt like I didn't belong with the other kids. I felt like I was an outsider. Even though I was born in this country, I felt like an outsider. And it felt terrible because I remember going back the first day of my repeat first grade. I was crying, dude, because I was like, I thought I was stupid, like I didn't know, right? And I realized it wasn't because I wasn't dumb, or because I spoke Spanish and I didn't speak English. And that made me realize that I was like, fuck, that's fucked up. But that same year, I started talking more and I started learning English really quick. I started picking up things. But that was, I think, the earliest moment I can remember where I felt like I wasn't part of this country. And it kind of traumatized me, but then I was like, then I started learning how to speak obviously in English, and the teacher would communicate with her. But I think for me, what does it mean to be an American? I think what it means is that we are all treated with the equal justice and the equal opportunities. And I always think about this in the sense where everybody says, well, why do you have to say you're Mexican American, or why do you have to say you're Chicano, or why can't you just say you're American? To me, in my eyes, I don't say I'm American because not every one of us is treated like an American. So if we were treated like Americans, like real Americans, like the way they treat gabachos and then they treat us, if we were all treated the same, then I can rightfully say, hey, I feel like an American because we're all treated the same, but we're not. We're all treated differently. And everyone says, well, it's really on you guys is how you get treated, not on us. I don't think that's the truth. I think it's the way that a system was built and the way it was engineered. That's the way I think. The only time I can tell you that I felt like I was an American, and it's weird and ironic, was when I became a Marine. I started getting the respect because I was a Marine, not because I was an American, but because I was a Marine. So when I would get pulled over, because I would still, they would see my ID, they would leave me alone and be like, okay, just leave him alone. You know, he's a Marine, whatever. But had I not been a Marine, I would have been treated different. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I know it's kind of confusing, but that's just the way I see things and the way I've been through experiences.
So you're saying that before you are Hispano, you are a Marine? Like people see you, that's the way they see you first?
If they see, if they know that I am, like when I get pulled over and they used to see my ID, I used to have my military ID, and they'd be like, oh, so you're a Marine? I'd be like, yeah, I was a Marine. Oh, then they start talking to you in a different way. They'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, so yeah, where were you stationed at? Because before that, they'll be like, what are you doing here? Well, you know, where are you going?
Mhm.
The tone was different,
Mhm.
and it changed. And I felt like, I was like, why do I have to be in a Marine to be treated with that kind of respect? Why can't I get treated?
It's called profiling. And just like
Right.
you felt profiled, as women, we get profiled. Not only this, I was just having a conversation with my colleague. As a woman that looks young, because mind you, I'm a young adult, I would say, but I'm not that young. You know, I'm 32, pushing 33 this year, but I still walk in, you know, on earth feeling like some people look at me as a young woman. I get profiled. So before I'm a Hispana, I'm a young woman. And young women don't get respect, first of all. They don't get the salutation that you would get as a Marine. You know what I'm saying? First of all. Second of all, the minute that you speak, that tells them where you're from. Even if you were born somewhere else, if you're speaking fluid English, then you have lived here for a lot longer than you've lived anywhere else. So like shit is like obvious, like visually and like, you know, when they listen to you speak. So
Right.
it's just called profiling to me in a way. You know, we always all day long get profiled.
No, and I understand that, but I'm just saying, why did I have to take a step where I had to be in the service to gain respect, to be considered a true American?
Pete,
When I've been an American, I've been born in the United States all my life. So that's to me, being an American is sometimes I feel like you have to be something to prove that you're worth being an American, and I don't like that. I hate that.
Shit gets
I think that's
tiring.
Pete,
bullshit.
It shit gets
And
tiring.
Pete,
Mm-hmm.
if I may,
that's why I'm saying, yeah, but let me just finish. That's why I'm saying, when he said the question is, how, what the sense of belonging, that's what I hate, is that you have to do certain things to prove to them. Now, we don't all have to do it. I don't have to do it, all right? I'm just saying that's just how things are sometimes, is that, hey, they're going to consider you American only when you prove it to them. Well, fuck that. I don't want to prove to you that I belong here or that I need to gain respect for that.
That what you just
That's
saying
his
right
answer
now?
to the question.
That what you just said right there, that's the answer. Fuck
Pete,
that.
if I may,
Why do you have to prove to anybody? Who are we here in America? We us. Why do we have to prove that we belong to a certain culture? What are the benefits? America
well,
is capitalism. We
I'll say why.
capitalists.
I
You
think I know
saying
why.
you about that money.
So,
In America, you about that money. Sorry. Go ahead.
nah.
Go ahead.
So Pete, when you say them, why do I have to prove to them? Them, is it all the people, or is it mostly government agencies like the police that pull you over, other government agencies, and is it also predominantly white people that profile you in such a way?
No, I get profiled by even our own people sometimes. When I say them, I say people who judge us without knowing us. That's who I talk about. It could be anybody, but it's the people that judge our culture, our way of life, our people in general. that's who I say then, because um, I think it's just in general, a lot of people just, the way they look at us or the way they perceive us. But
Okay.
there's gonna be a
Well,
time when a lot of us are gonna be like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck what you think. I'll just do what I do, and that's it.
would it be
You know?
fair? Would it be fair to say them is assimilated people? It's not predominantly white or part of the government. They are assimilated people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say that's fair. Yeah,
Okay.
you could say.
So
The
so
question is
so
who's assimilating them though?
right. So to answer that question, like
ABC News.
why did they have to why did they only have to see you as an American after they see your military card? And I think that takes us back to those things I had to learn, right? Manifest destiny, doctrine of discovery. So it's literally, to me, the assimilation is those who wanted to create this false identity of Americans within the United States. And then, are you with us or are you against us? Because in the U.S.-Mexico war, that divided a whole lot of people. Who are you with? Are you with the U.S. or are you with Mexico? Even when they tried to get the Irish to join that war, and the Irish joined Mexico's side, and they were like, "Nah, you treat them like you treat the Irish. We're with them," and they jumped border. So after that, they got really hard with the "Who are you with?" I need to see who are you loyal to. That's the reason they brainwashed us and conditioned us with the flag. And when we're in school, at least when I was in school, they made us pledge allegiance to the flag, right? That's some Nazi shit. That's some straight up Nazi shit. That's you got as a kid, as a underdeveloped kid who hasn't developed their full cognitive conscious yet, and you're making them pledging allegiance to a nation that committed genocide on your people, who did Operation Wetback and put your people to another place they didn't belong to, displaced them, so when we're thinking like, why do they have to give you such respect once they see you're part of the military? Because not only do they think you have assimilated, you have joined their forces, you have joined their side of the war. That's why you get that privilege and those perks.
What
P
he said. What
already
he
with the
said.
fusca. P ready with the fusca, man.
I mean, I agree to what you're saying, but there's one thing I am gonna tell you. Whether you like it or not, whether you assimilate or not, when you do join the military, you do become attached to other people that are in the military, and you do end up gaining respect for each other, whether they agree or not, or whether, whatever. I will never put down another military personnel because I know what it's like to go through whatever they went through.
You gotta respect
training.
it at the end of the day. You gotta respect.
I'm gonna still respect them. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna be like, ay, hijo de tu chingada madre, pinche vendido, or whatever. I'm gonna respect them, but I'm still gonna have my views, and I'm gonna understand that.
And that's the hard part.
United States.
That's the hard part, because it's not about like
duality.
judging, pointing fingers. It's not about that. It's more about the teaching. It's not about making somebody look stupid with knowledge that you got and they don't. It's not about that.
Right.
Be a teacher for once.
Okay,
Not everybody.
You gotta remember that everyone's at a different level.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta always take that into consideration. That
Yeah,
just because you are up to game, someone put you on game, you put yourself on game, doesn't mean that the next person's going to be on that same game, right? So you gotta take that into consideration.
But I
Don't be
respect what Heron says, though. I still respect what Heron says.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree, but I am not gonna dismiss people who have served. That I've served. Obviously, I've gained a lot of long-time friendships with people in the military. Now, I will tell them, hey, I think this is about the United States, and I won't be afraid to tell them, but I will still respect them, right? Because it's a whole different level of a world in the military. It's just, there's so many of us out there, part of it, and some of the ones that I really, like, they kind of like, me da como cosa is to see the real, like our brown ones, like get really hardcore gung ho and like, like walk like they're fucking I'd be like, fuck, fool. You gotta be proud of your people too, like your culture. You know, you're all this gung ho, John Wayne, bullshit, but you dismiss your own people, and that's, I see that, and I'm at the. I think about all that, but it is what it is, man. But like I said, I respect everybody. I respect Heron. He's a warrior. I respect other views. I'm gonna still keep my views, but I'm gonna respect my culture as well, and my people, my indigenous people. Because at the end we did come from indigenous.
That's
I
what
take it
I
back.
respect about you too. That you respect everyone's views. I really highly respect that about you.
That's right. Yeah, we gotta respect each other's opinion. You know what I mean? Because everyone has an opinion. But let's bring it to the homegirl Mini, hella crafty. Go ahead and so the question was, what does it mean to belong in America? And give a little brief on yourself on when an event that you remember where you're like you feel like you belong, or the opposite, you didn't feel like you belong.
Oh man, that's a hard one because I've never really felt like I belong. I've never really felt like I belong. I belong to my family, whatever they taught me, their values, and I have to recognize that their values and culture comes from a space, a place. And that's, mainly, my parents are from Jalisco. So of course, a lot of our costumbres, they come from Jalisco. And I know that it goes beyond that and before that. So I will never really entirely know. But it's for me, the question is, where will my people belong in 100 years, in 200 years? Because think about it. Are we going to be Latinos like isolated forever? Are we going to mesh in with everybody else eventually? And how do we track down where we belong? What makes us us? So to me, I'm more worried about where we're going. I understand where I'm from and where those costumbres come from and why we had to use those costumbres to survive. All right. Because a lot of the shit that we do is because of survival mode. And we still sometimes are in survival mode to this day. I mean, I don't fit in. I don't fit in a lot of places, but I'm okay with that. I think that for me, fitting in means not fitting in, doing my own thing. That's why, what does it mean to be me, Mexicana, Americana? And I say those two things because I can't deny my parents' roots. You know what I'm saying? I can't deny that part. And I can't deny that I also grew up here in America. Like, for me, though, when I was growing up, a lot of my friends were watching MTV and the Disney Channel, and my parents couldn't pay for that. So I come from like a PBS. You feel me? Like it's a different story with me. So of course I got cut out of that culture, that American culture, that people was watching all that while I was watching the road show, the antique road show, and stuff like that.
Arthur's always been
bro,
the boss.
that was my favorite show growing up. That was my favorite show growing up. No lie.
That's fucking great.
Right. So like I was kind of X'd out of that culture. A lot of culture comes from the media, and I came to realization when I was in my teenager years that I was like, oh shit, I don't know a lot of what's happening because I missed out on the whole cable shit. I didn't have cable growing up. I didn't have cable growing up. So I was like, I don't know what all that is. You know what I'm saying? So culture, meaning what media wants us to assimilate to, what they want us to indoctrinate us into. NBC, ABC, what they want us to learn from the world. But to be honest with you, and I thank my dad for this because he didn't really let me watch TV. So what he said was the word. So, but anyway, to answer that question, yeah, fuck that. We all belong here. What you mean? We all part of this joint. What you mean? Like, we already here. Like, why question it? Let's just do something about it. Let's just move forward. What is it going to be in 100 years? You know what I'm saying? How can we write our history right now to incorporate what we know, why we know that, and where we going? Because to me, like I work at a high school. I see these youth coming in from Honduras and Guatemala, and they're coming in as what we call newcomers, and they're dressing like us, but not quite. You know what I'm saying? They assimilating to what they feel, what they see. To me,
Hey, Brown. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead, Carnal.
go ahead.
oh, just because I wanted to. I didn't really. I noticed. I told you the story from my perspective, but I never did answer the question because after telling the story, I forgot about what the question was. But if she's done, but if she's not done, then I'll just answer it
You know
after.
what? Sometimes when I'm high, I get to go on like 2 different roads, and I don't know
Okay.
where I'm at. So go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So to answer that question, directly.
Sorry.
So to answer that question directly, I don't think none of us that have indigenous roots belong to America. None of us do, because our roots predate America, the invention of America. And America, to me, it's an idea. It's a
There you
colonial,
go.
illegal,
We here,
occupational
bro.
idea by settlers, right? By illegal
We
settlers.
here.
So to me, we don't belong to America. America belongs to those that want to conquer, to those that want to colonize, to those that want to have a
My
U.S.
thing.
imperialism. You know, those that want to continue the imperialism that Che Guevara said at the United Nations in 1970, that the biggest enemy of humanity was the U.S. imperialism. That's what America belongs to the elites that benefit off the wars, to the elites that are cashing in from our taxes that's going to the military and industrial complex. That's who America belongs to. So if someone identifies as American, you either are in full allegiance to that idea, you are complicit to the idea, or you're just fuck it, I don't care, I don't want to fucking look into shit because life's too fucked up anyways, and I'm full of fucked up shit, and I don't want to learn new fucked up shit, and they just want to keep on tripping on their own rocks. That's what I think.
Yeah. Now let's turn it around and let's talk about citizenship, right?
Mhm.
They got our kids in cages. I mean, they doing all this. They coming at us from left field. You know what I mean? What does it mean to be an American citizen? What does it mean to have that citizenship? What does it mean to us? I mean, it's a paper. It's an entry way into this freedom that we have, right? But like deeper than that, we're gonna take it into
That's
to the
fucking
homie Pete.
it's inhumane is what it is. But period. I'm like, what? How
Yeah,
can
Pete,
you
go ahead, Carnal.
go
Did you
ahead?
hit that?
Yeah. I'm thinking hard on this question because look, we a lot. I think all of us know the history of this country. The way it, genocide of Native Americans. The way that it not acquired, but it stole the land from Mexico, right? The deceit, the trickery, the manifest destiny, all that shit. Am I proud of that when I say that I'm an American? No, I'm not proud of that. I think America needs to. I think Americans, if you're an American, if you truly believe you're an American, to me, is owning to the responsibility of the shit that you did, the country did, not hiding it, not fucking saying, oh, well, that was in the past, or, oh, well, we took it because they deserved it because they were savages. That to me is not American. To me, that's like colonization. It's bigotry. It's when I was a kid, I thought, to me, the idea American was a person that it was an idea, but the idea of being equal to everyone, being having a justifiable system that works, that there's no capitalism. That was ignorance that I believed in, right? Because when you go to school, they feed you all this stuff. Then you come to realize what an American or how these the American thinks, this propaganda that was pushed, that American patriotism means that you need to be
Compliant.
yeah, and yeah, compliant, and well, you don't get shot if you don't run, right? Or that bullshit. To me that was like, and then it just hit me, and I'm like, man, that's not an American. That's fucking this bullshit I get fed. So I don't have an answer to that, to be honest with you. What I will say is, I will say that if I'm asked, hey, were you born in this country? I would say, yes, I was born in this country. I was born in this land. I was born here. My ancestors were here. Well, if I go to the border and they ask me, are you an American citizen? Well, yeah, I'm going to say I'm an American citizen because I was born here, right? But it's hard for me to answer that because I'm not, how do you say, you guys can call it what you want, but I'm not going to say that I am a proud American. I am an American. I was born here, but I know the history. I've read the history. I believe in the history, but yeah, it's kind of hard for me to answer that. Now, you guys may think what you want about that, and it's okay. I respect it, but I'm not gonna allow someone to bring me down because I'll say it if I'm an American, right? I have my own views, but I also, just because I say, if I do announce that I'm an American, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna discredit my culture, my people, or what have you. Because more than anything, I fucking do what I can to promote my culture. There's times I'm at 1 o'clock in the morning looking up shit so I can post it so people can know about our history. Because motherfuckers out there sometimes say shit and it's not true. And, and I think it's important to put our history, our stories out there, whether they're against or for America, but the truth about our history, about how we were hung in Texas. 200 Mexicans were hung by a tree that's famous in Texas because it was a landmark. That kind of shit needs to be out there. Okay, we're going to put it out there and we're going to see if you're really proud of an American. Own up to it. Own up to the shit that America did to our people.
I mean, look at how it was founded. You can't hide that shit. They tried though.
Right. So that's the way I define myself. And if I say I'm American, I'm American. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you what you did. I'm gonna tell the bullshit that you did. And if you like it or not, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I think, bro.
I feel it.
Might be wrong, might be right.
Yeah. Crafty, go ahead and if you remember the question, in a deeper sense, what does the citizenship mean? And because we know that psychologically it's damaged our people. You know what I mean? Like irreparably. You know what I mean? At this point, kids are gonna grow up with this anger towards America as a whole,
Period.
right? Because so that's another trauma. But that's you know what I mean.
I remember specifically being 12 years old for the first time in Mexico, and these girls wanted to keep my clothes and my perfume because they wanted to smell like El Norte, and they wanted to smell like El Norte, and that always stuck with me because at the time I was 12 years old and I felt like the shit. I was like, okay.
You were in Mexico.
Yeah, I was in
You
Mexico.
were in Mexico. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
In my
Okay.
dad's village. Yep. And so, this is a place where if you need milk, you got to wait for the milkman to come by in the 4 or 5 in the morning announcing, hey, we got milk. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is very different from what I have access to. So, me having citizenship at one point in my life, I thought that I was above. Like, I thought that was a privilege. And I started to kind of go away from that and saying that it is not a fucking privilege. It is a fucking right. And it is some fucked up shit to me to have to go through the bullshit to try to get that. And they still doing the most. It's even harder now.
Yeah.
And so to me, I think that's just like a laugh in our face every time I hear about it. And it's like, fuck, like every time, you know, somebody has to get jumped out here to go get there, to be able to get their citizenship, because that's probably the easiest way to get it, is to get, hurt, damaged, beat up. Because I don't know if you guys know, but that's a lot of folks out here. They get beat up just to get their citizenship. So that's not a fucking privilege. I don't feel privileged. I feel like they robbing us all, like as a community. Because if you can't grow at the same rate that I'm growing, I don't know. I just feel some type of way about it. I don't really know how to answer that question without being upset.
Like, I feel your anguish because, like I said before, like, we do have privileges. Like, I have a privilege compared to someone that's trying to cross the border, right? Because they don't know this lifestyle. Once you stay here and you live here, you see the bullshit, right? But you can't see the bullshit unless you live in the bullshit, right? So it's like, yeah. It's the truth, though. I mean, it's the truth. But I feel your anguish. I feel that you can't put it, you can't put a finger on it. It's hard to put a finger on it.
I don't want this privilege is what I'm saying. It's, to me, like the word privilege itself is like you having more knowledge and more, more. It's more. You know what I'm saying? I equate that as more. So to me, to think that I have more than others is like, that's so fucked up. And I'm so against it. And I think it's so against like humanity. That's why I think like this whole citizenship situation is so fucked up. Given that this is the same land, it's connected. Like nothing disconnects it, but that one idea, like you said, Chicano dude said, like being American is an ideology. It's a boundary that we set and we separate each other. It's so ugly to me and I hate it. And I see the disconnection in our families. I see the struggles that of reconnection. And so to me, I'm not privileged to have a citizenship. I'm not. I don't know. To me, I have no me gusta la palabra. You feel me? Like, so I don't use it. I'm trying to disconnect myself more and more because it shouldn't be a privilege. It should be a right. Everybody should have the same, opportunity to see if they want to be a part of America, the capitalism, the capitalist part of the world. This is, people's about their money out here, and that's really all it comes, like commerce and fucking.
Yeah.
It's just, we're so disconnected and unrooted, and
that's why we need our parents.
But you know what? That's the beauty of these conversations, that we just can't express it sometimes, right?
Right.
We're so conflicted with all these different sides of America. Like, everyone has a perspective of America. Your perspective can be totally different than mine, right? Because of things that we heard, seen, and things that we lived, right? So that's why these talks are so, needed, because it's hard to express it. But go ahead, go ahead and give your input on this, on the deep meaning behind the citizenship.
All right, I'm gonna connect three things. I'm gonna connect this question you're asking. I'm gonna connect what Homegirl said earlier about not making people feel stupid for knowing more, and I'm gonna connect Pete's answer of him claiming American regardless of what others may think. Right. So I'm gonna connect all of them. So let me start with, in the colonizers' ideology, America is the whole continent, not the U.S. The U.S. as a country is one of only 2 countries in the world that does not have an official name. So because it doesn't have an official name, they became fucking lazy and they called themselves America. But also, not just out of straight laziness, because they had a plan. They want to be the daddy of the continent. They want to be the daddy and the mommy all together. So when people say I'm American, it's supposed to be under the colonizers' ideology that you belong to this continent. So that means Peru, Mexico. Mexico's official name son los Estados Mexicanos de América. That's the official
That's
name. So you could be Mexicano
that's
100% like me, born in el Nopal like me, en una casa de adobe like me, and still be Americano in the ideology of the colonizer. So no disrespect to Pete. I don't look at Pete as somebody that I judge with my previous judgment that, you know, someone who claims to be American, I think this of them. Nah, why? Because A, Pete, you have indigenous roots. There, you have indigenous phenotypes. You don't just have the roots. You have the phenotypes. I look at you and I don't see no Anglo-Saxon in you. I don't see Spanish in you. A little bit con el bigotito, you know. but but you know, it's all right. Pancho Villa had a bigote, so it's all right, you know.
right.
Zapata had a bigotón, you know. Y es el viejón, you know. But nah, I see more indigenous phenotypes in you. So when people pull you over, when the cops pull you over, they're pulling over a brown man. They're pulling over a phenotype, indigenous phenotype person. So that's what they see. You know, that's what they profile. So when I talk about those people that claim American, I'm talking about those either rednecks that they want to belong to this land, but they just don't. You know, they just do not belong to this land. And this land does not belong to them. They could buy it all they want. They could claim it on their fucking taxes all they want. They could pass it on to their fucking kids and create that generational wealth all they fucking want, but it will never be theirs, you know? Secondly, to homegirl that says I shouldn't be, or people shouldn't learn more to make people feel stupid. I agree in most cases, but there's going to be situations where, yes, those people who think that the United States is a real country, it's a real country of freedom and liberty, and that, you know, the Western Hemisphere didn't know liberty and freedom or didn't know democracy until they fucking showed up with their genocide. And you know, now we got to be fucking thankful to come back home. Fuck them. I'm going to make them feel fucking stupid. You know why? Because that privilege you talk about that you have, that you don't want, by the way, that privilege is not given to all the people who are directly indigenous of their pueblos, meaning they speak their native tongue, not the colonizers' tongue of Spanish, their native tongue. So to them, they don't get to speak back. They don't get to make that Border Patrol even feel a little bit educated. They just get harassed. They get fucking sprayed with acid on their skin like my abuelos did when they were braceros in the 1960s. They get, you know, fucking encuerados and sprayed down because they don't want lice on them. Fuck that. I'm going to speak up for them. I'm going to speak up for every child in a cage because that could have easily been me. So I'm going to make them feel fucking stupid. I'm going to look at their phenotypes and I'm going to dig into their own fucking history. And I'm going to educate them on their own fucking history. So if they have black skin but they act like the colonizer, I'm going to let them fucking know. If they look like they have red hair and they have Irish background, I'm going to let them know what their ancestors chose. Their ancestors chose Mexico. They chose to fight with us. What the fuck are you doing today? You know, you're joining the fucking the war of the royal family that used to put you down in your own motherland. You know, so I'm gonna let people know. I'm gonna not just study my people. I'm gonna study people around the world so I can know a little bit about their background, so I can know a little bit about where they're rooted, where their homeland is. And I'm gonna remind the Anglo-Saxon and the Spaniard that they're fucking they're orphans because they don't have a motherland. They're not in their motherland, so that makes them fucking orphans, and they're squatting on my fucking, you know, ancestral lands. So to answer your question of the original question of, I'm sorry, can you repeat it? I got lost again.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the
I mean,
citizenship.
that's
Citizenship.
beautiful, bro.
Citizenship. Yeah, there we go. So citizenship.
All that you need, Heron, is a beat because that was like a whole rap sheet, bro. I was like already thinking of a beat. That's so fucking badass.
I need to get with Immortal Technique on that. Oh, by the way, damn, nah, I got a surprise, but I can't talk about it yet. I got a surprise though. But anyways, so when it comes to citizenship, when I was 18, I had the privilege to become a citizen because by then I had the qualifying years. I had a clean record. I had the privilege to become a citizen, and I said, "Chales tamales, fuck that." Because in that time, I was a proud Mexican, and I thought Mexico will always be my fucking country. I don't want to give allegiance to no other fucking country. Chales, I'm not siding with the gringo on this one. If I'm legal to be here, I'm good with that. And then Later in life, I was like trying to vote. Now I'm like, oh, you can't vote until you're a citizen. I was like, what? And then I tried to run for city council. They're like, nope, you can't do that until you're a U.S. citizen. And then I was gonna work for the Congresswoman Nanette Barragan, who I campaigned for and I helped her win. And then she was gonna give me a dope ass job, and I couldn't fucking get it because to work for the federal government, you need to be a U.S. citizen. So I was like, fuck, 3 things that I missed out on for not being a U.S. citizen. So I'm like, let me become one. But now I have, I have a record. Now I have felonies, so I can't just easily become one. Now I gotta fucking go through all this struggle to become one. But when I was campaigning in California, when I was campaigning in Utah, I would tell people that think like you, homegirl, I don't know your name, that like, nah, I don't really care for that, and nah,
It's not that
I don't
don't
even like
care.
this.
I
What
guess I'm like
it made us
beyond. Yeah. It's
okay.
not.
Well, I
It's
said.
definitely. Go ahead. But go ahead. Go ahead.
But I would tell them, all right, if you don't really care that much and you think that your citizenship is just whatever, vote for the people that can't vote. Vote for people like me, who I'm putting in the work. I'm walking the streets so I can, help let people know who's in your best interest. Who's in your best interest. Not that that's the best person that should be president, but better than the other fucking person who wants you out, who wants to go back to old America, the great America that used to fucking raise up the Anglo-Saxons as #1 and have a whole fucking caste system and put us at the bottom, because we're always been at the bottom. Indigenous people have been at the bottom since day one. So I would always let them know, if you don't care for your privilege, at least use it for a family member, because I'm pretty damn sure you have family members that are not
Facts.
documented. So
Facts.
use it for
Most
them.
of them.
Ask them, hey,
Most
who
of
do you like
them.
to vote for? Who do you like to vote
Literally.
for? I'm gonna vote for you.
Right. And this is
So
literally
that's
this.
what.
What I'm saying when I say like, because I understand what you're saying and how I made myself look like I don't care for it. It's not that I don't care for it. I have an ugly ass feeling about it. I hate it. I was born obviously here. So like I don't have a choice to denounce it. I use it every day. Every day I bring my people up. You know
So
what I'm saying?
So when
So
it comes time to educate those at the borderline who love to say this, you're coming home for those that have citizenship, and then, oh, this is not your home for those that don't have citizenship. I'll be like, do you even know what a citizenship is? Do you know what that is? That's just a membership card. A membership
here.
card to a country that is idealistically a
Right.
colonizer's idea of
Me,
taking over a
me
specific region.
privileged is to live completely, cut out the social media, be at peace. To me, what if people have different ways to see privilege? Do you know what I'm
But I
saying?
don't think
Like,
that's the question. But you're centering privilege. That's not the topic. The topic is
What
citizenship.
I
I
meant
don't know
more
why
by privilege was the fact that we, comparison to others that come from different parts of, America, which is north or south,
but
right?
who's to say that this is more privileged than that? Who's the judge of that?
Well, I guess society, you know what I mean? Society and how others view you, how schools view you, how
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I
the
mean?
system.
Government view the
The
system,
system is
yeah.
telling you that you are privileged. And so that I just had, like I said, all I have to say is that I have a hell of an ugly ass feeling about that, and I wish it didn't exist. I wish that we didn't even have to talk about privilege. I wish we all had the same right, and it's stupid that we even have to separate ourselves and tell each other these people have more power than this people just because of the citizenship. It sucks, bro, and I hate it. And
well,
I'm not here to say or denounce my privilege, and I hate to call it privilege because it's more like a responsibility. It's not a privilege. I don't have more than others. I have a responsibility, is what I have. And so, if you're willing to take that responsibility and act on it, I applaud you. But if you just saying, "No, you're just privileged to be here," okay, what you doing with your privilege? You know what I'm saying? A privilege is a responsibility. I don't see it as an upper hand.
well,
That,
Uh, so if we speak on the word privilege, we all have privileges, all of us, right? So
Yeah,
if you're a male, you have a privilege in a patriarchal society. If you're white passing, you have a privilege for white passing because of white privilege. If you come from a background that your parents went to school, then you have an educational privilege of coming from generational academic background. So there's all types of privileges, right? So we just have to identify them, know what they are, know which ones you walk with, and know which ones you don't walk with. You know, so I recognize my privilege as being a male, but I'm also a brown man. So if there's a white woman, she has privilege over me because she's white. And
No,
if she's white passing,
that's the idea though. And if we keep pushing that narrative, we gonna keep believing
nah,
it.
I'm not pushing it. You know who pushing it? All the cops that pulled me over at gunpoint. I came up in the hood, and I had more cops in my life. There's been more cops that have had me at gunpoint, where I've been more nervous for my life than all the times I found myself in the hood and the enemy side late at night in the alleys. I was safe there. Even though the enemy had a gun right at me, I still feel safer than when cops pulled up on me. So no, it's not me. It's not me pushing. It's me accepting the reality of my environment. And it's not me being a product of my environment because I already came out of that mentality. It's me overcoming, but understanding that we are a victim of our environment, we like it or not. There's a social experiment that proves this. It's a scientific proven experiment that everyone, even Trump, he was a victim of his environment, of his fucking privileged ass white, racist environment.
Yeah.
So if we then acknowledge that and we put in, okay, well, what can I do? Like, I wish there wasn't fucking kids in cages, but my wish ain't gonna do shit. But your vote to vote these motherfuckers out, that's gonna do something. Your vote to vote in policies that's gonna make a change, that's gonna do something. A wish ain't gonna do shit. Not
Right,
even
and
at the Wish
and
Foundation.
it takes those people that are willing to teach to keep empowering and igniting those passions. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take that one person. It takes that one person to teach 10 heads that teach the 10 heads after that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
It's a
not
domino
about the
effect for sure.
Oh, for
gatekeeping. You
sure.
can't just keep it all to yourself. You have to.
No, I don't. But you know
I'm
what?
sorry,
I'll
but
share.
you do have the privilege to be responsible enough to like give the game. And
Oh, for
sometimes
sure.
it's
But
about the
and
delivery. It's about the delivery. You're not going to get a message across if you make somebody feel stupid. You're going to give them anger. And so we as
it,
human, we operate on emotions. So the way to deliver the message is with compassion. You don't go up to a person and make them feel stupid. You make them feel empowered.
it depends. So if I'm gonna do it for my
We're all
people
human. I don't
that want
care
to
if it's
rent,
a white person, I don't care if it's an Asian person, I don't care if it's an Indian person.
that's your perspective.
It
If it's my
is.
people and
It should
they're
be
willing
all of
to
our
learn, yeah,
perspectives, though,
I'm
because
gonna.
that's a respecting. That's a human respecting. It shouldn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you're totally indoctrinated and are fucking racist. We all have a responsibility to teach in this world. And if you feel privileged enough to have citizenship and to know all this information, do something about it. And I'm not mad
I
at
don't.
you. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah,
This is really just how I
I'm
talk.
not a citizen.
This is,
To this day, I'm not a citizen. To this day, I'm not a citizen. So
but you have a lot of
one,
knowledge, dude. You
right.
have a lot of
But
knowledge.
but I'll tell you something that just happened to me recently. I was mentoring someone. I took them from saying, oh, black people has had it the worst in this country. And I'm like, nah, bro, what you doing? After I just gave them the stage, I gave them the stage. I gave them the mic when they told me don't. And I'm like, nah, I like brother. I like young brother. I wanna give him a platform. And he's over there speaking like, oh, I think black people has had it the worst. No one has had it as worse as you. I'm like, nah, bro. First of all, you're going into Olympic Games. We're not here for Olympic Games. And if you want to go there, ain't nobody got it worse than the original people of the land who were through genocide executed down to 5% of their population. That's over 110 million people, the greatest genocide in world history. Ain't nobody got it worse than that. On top of that, the people that did survive from the 5% have been displaced from their original tongue, displaced from their original culture, don't know who the fuck they are, calling themselves Latino and Hispanic and other shit now. Ain't nobody got it worse than that. Now that person want to go on a major platform and drop indigenous lands, like these are indigenous lands, but don't really know everything else. And then I've been mentoring the fuck out of this person, passing on knowledge, like you said, because that's my responsibility. But then they want to go and then just claim the shit that they learn on their own. And it's like, damn,
Then
bro,
that's not
really?
your burden.
Okay.
You did your job. That's your due diligence. You did your job. You can't control people or how they think. You can only give the goods. That's it. That's you know what I'm saying? And as they keep on their journey, they're going to keep collecting more of the goods. And they're going to find out when they find out, but it's a little
So
bit of everybody.
now I'm just very selective who I pass knowledge to, but I'm always gonna pass it to my people. I'm always, no matter what. But who I mentor one on one, I'm very selective now. But Again, not that, and I get it. I might sound angry. I'm just passionate because I've been there
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen how they
We're
treat our
passionate
people.
people.
And that's
Um,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
I appreciate that because it sounds like everybody really know what the like they really understand the feeling and the knowledge. And I'm here to learn too.
Yeah.
I don't know everything. I'm not educated. You know, I know what I see, and I know, through experiences and through the lives of others.
Now,
Trust
before
me,
I
I'm not.
switch it up to the last question, oh
Go.
yeah, go ahead, real quick.
I just wanted to tell you, just to give you a perspective on why this is so passionate, why this is up my valley, my alley so much, and why I'm so passionate. I'm that story of the baby being carried over by his dad across the river so he can have a
Mm,
better opportunity. I'm that story. I'm that baby.
Mm-hmm.
that's beautiful. It's beautiful, and that's a perfect picture for what I'm about to bring up. So before I bring that up, the last question here. So that's the thing that we have to remember to always, reach at people where they are level wise, right? You can't come at someone a certain way when they don't know any better. You know what I mean? You can
Right.
like a youngster, a high schooler, or whatever. You can't come at them. Oh, we're indigenous, and you gotta take it step by step because then you'll lose them.
Yeah.
And I have this conversation with youngsters like you gotta take it at their level, what they're experiencing right now, so they can relate to it. Because if
Right.
they can't relate to it, they're tuning off.
It's
They
over
they
their
ain't listening
head.
to you. They
Right.
ain't listening to you.
Right.
So
Right.
now with that said, talking about youngsters, um, propaganda, I mean, all these ads, all these, we have to, wear these shoes to belong. We have to dress like this to belong. Youngsters, what I mean? They want to belong. They want to have a sense of self, sense of who they are or whatnot. They're trying to search. They're searching, right? How would you promote this sense of awareness, sense of go with what you have and love it, embrace it? How would you promote that to a youngster? We're gonna start it off with Pete. Go ahead, Carnal.
Um, I think the most important thing to promote would be to say, um, to promote our culture, our things, and to have it wear it with pride. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the brand. It's just what we were wearing, what our people were wearing back in the day. I know that sounds kind of vague, but I think that's something that could be kind of taught. Maybe just, hey, look, this was back in the day. This is how our people would dress with class and pride. Necessarily didn't have the brand, but they wore everything with pride and showed it. So that's one of the things I think I would say. The other thing is a little bit more on the um, on the side of why are you making them money and why don't you make your own? Why, in a sense, is you're helping, you're making them rich, but you're not making yourself better. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think it falls into a lot of other things in a sense where we're working for someone, making someone else's dream instead of making our dream. When we're about wearing all that stuff, I believe that we're making someone else's dream instead of ours. And I think maybe, I mean, that's not the perfect answer, but I think that's a perspective that they might be able to take. I tell my daughter sometimes, because she wants to buy expensive stuff. I said, man, why don't you come up with something that it's you and this is you and, it's your brand. And, I don't know if that's the right answer, but that's something I would say.
That's beautiful, Carnal. Go ahead, Eron. Give your perspective on that, Carnal.
Uh, Actually, I'll rather let the sister go first, and I'll go after that.
Can you repeat the questions?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, how would you promote, especially you, I mean, you work with youngsters, you work with high schoolers. I work with smaller kids than that. I work with fourth, fifth graders. But how would you promote this idea of like empowerment for them to embrace what they have already and not having to look for material stuff like Jordans to fit in, to belong? How
Yeah,
would you
man.
promote that?
Um, well, I think that we all will have different answers because in this lifetime we are all seeking different things. For me, this lifetime is seeking healing from my past, generations because we all have generational trauma. And I think it's my responsibility to break the cycles, emotional cycles, you know, healing the hurt and the pain. And so for me, it's very emotional, dude. Like when I speak to a youth, you know, about empowering themselves, I look within them and I'm like, dude, like you could lash on the world, but you choose to be kind. That right there takes a real strong person. It takes a really strong person to choose kindness over lashing out. That's what I just said. But see, obviously, like it's not about the material world. It's about what you are practicing and inheriting and collecting in your journey so that you can teach this to the next. At the end of the day, we're all going to be hopefully 80 years old. What are you going to take from this world? Okay, you bought a nice house, a couple cars. Materialistically, like that's not really what you pass on. You really pass on how to treat others, how to see others, how to view the world, how to like, I don't really know how to explain this. I feel like I talk about this a lot too. Like when I'm like getting into conversations with the youth, I really get into it. But it's more about like, you know, what I spoke about earlier. It's about the compassion. It's about learning how to be at peace with yourself. And what that looks like is it looks like different for everybody. For me, peace looks like I don't want to hurt anymore. I don't want to carry my parents' burdens on me anymore. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to learn self-respect, self-love, because these are actual things that I could teach, that if I do it for myself, I know that they're watching me and they're learning from me. So it's more or less what I can say rather than what I could do, what I could show. And that starts with myself. I could really only worry about myself. I can't really sit here and tell them what to do. Repeat the question one more time. Sometimes like I get like hella derailed. I swear to God.
I get your vision. I'm pretty much saying like if you're talking to a youngster or a group of youngsters, like how are you going to push this agenda of like embrace what you have?
Okay.
Because a lot of them don't
You know
have
what?
money to buy Jordans and shit.
This is something I tell them all the time. I tell them, bruh, because you know they in high school. I'm like, bruh. I'm like, in 20 years, do you really think they're going to remember you for the hot shoes that you had or for how you made them feel? So that's something that I always catch them on that. Like, you really have to think about that one. People are not going to remember you for the hat that you wore, the sweater that you was rocking. It's going to be how you made them feel. Was you a good person to them? Did you give them compassion? Did you give them a helping hand? Were you friendly? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you say what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, treated them as equals, no matter what they was wearing, whether they wearing a hijabi, whether they wearing like, you know, pantalones a la nalga. You know what I'm saying? What does that have to do with anything in 20 years? So I'll leave it at that. I can go on and on, but I'll leave it at that.
That's a great answer.
I love that. I love that right there.
I love that answer.
I love that. You know, because you gotta make them think years.
Yes.
Like make them think like when they're older. But that's the thing though. They can't put their minds in that because they don't know comparison. They can't compare.
Right.
But they could compare when they were younger, when they were, you know, like 7, 8 years old. You know, that's a sense of comparison.
Right.
But in those terms, I guess you could put them in that state of mind where they're like able to at least conceive some of that, right? Some of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Did you just say state of mind? I patent that, bro. You can't use that.
Hey, don't sue me, carnal. Don't sue me now. All right, Aaron, let's wrap it up with your point of view, carnal.
All right. So the way I look at it, as you can see right now, I'm actually wearing a lamb back sweater. This is from the Colonial brand. the Colonial Clothing brand. So this is from the Dakota Bear. He came. He's from First Nations Canada. He's a brother he's a rapper. Dope ass music, by the way. Check it out. And he came to LA with the vision of uniting the Canada, well, what today is Canada, and LA people who have a lot of roots in Mexico, right? So he came with this vision of the eagle and the condor uniting, because you know the condor represents the South, even though it goes beyond
It's always in threes.
down to South America. But he's a good brother. I think that we need more of that. I support other brands like this hat right here, Indigenous 1492 company by the homie. I support Fonzo. I'm actually wearing his shirt. So my shirt, they sent me gente. They sent me gente right here. It has like an Aztec knife right here with the obsidian knife. It has the Looney Tunes and Aztec Danza Azteca regalia. So it's pretty cool, you know. At home I got other stuff, so I am already on that switch up. And to be honest, I never really gave in to like the Jordans. I never gave in to like all that stuff. To me, it was just like, it was like, the way I looked at it was like, why are you paying so much money for something that doesn't truly bring you happiness? If it don't make me happy, I ain't dropping $200 in a shoe. So they don't make me happy. They make you happy for like a day or two, and then you're over it. And in fact, I like people who knew how to fuck the system, like the homie. He was a Moreno, right? He would always have a little toothbrush, and he would always be cleaning them in class. I'm like, bro, what is it with you and that toothbrush? He's like, I gotta keep them clean, because at the end of the week, guess what? I'm gonna go to Foot Locker and exchange them for another one, and people are gonna be thinking I'm balling. And I'm like, damn. So this fool would have new Jordans every week, and he would keep the tag hanging on it, the little Jordan, and this was just with the little toothbrush all day long. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I appreciate it, homie, because you know, he was getting the best out of it. He knew how to like make his money worth, because he wasn't getting no $200 every week or every month. His mom was like, here you go, that's for the year, you better make it work. And the homie found a way to make it work. Yeah, he made it work. So that's dope, right? But I come from the era of FUBU. I come from the era of what was it, Rockaware. I come from the era of of stuff like that, right? So when these rappers brought up their own brand because they needed to make money, real money, because the record label was doing them dirty, they started making their own brands, right? So people went from like Tommy Hilfiger, racist ass. They went from like Polo, racist ass, Ralph Lauren, racist ass, and they went over to Rockaware and FUBU, and they went over to GU and shit like that. And then I was like, yo, that's smart. How come our people ain't up on game like that? How come our people ain't doing shit like that, right? And then I started seeing the not Latino, not Hispanic, Mexicano shirts. I'm like, I want that fucking shirt at the swap meet. I want that shirt. I started seeing the Aztec guy just looking proud, like with his fucking nariz and looking proud, you know? And I was like, that's me. I reflect with that vision. I reflect with that vato, because he doesn't have all his facial hair looking like a colonizer going on. I'm like, I look like that vato, you know? Nah, not Pete. I'm talking about the full-on fucking, you know, what's his name? DJ Khaled look. I'm talking about the DJ Khaled look, you know? Every time I see them motherfuckers, I'm like, another one. So I'm like, I want to rock that shit. And then I just rock shit that make me feel good, you know? Like, I started representing, like, this is who I am. I started rocking that Aztec guy. I didn't even know shit about like indigenous roots or nothing, but I'm like, I gotta have some. I look like the vato, I gotta have some. And now that I know everything that I know, I try to support, you know, as much as I can. Anybody selling a shirt, I go to Mexica New Year. By the way, it's coming up. Anybody selling anything, the colonial, I will support that. And you gotta find ways to make it look fly, you know. And then I wasn't too sure if it was looking fly or not until I saw other fools rocking it dope as fuck. Like shout out to Jaguar from Cosmic Vision. He got some dope shirts, and the way he dresses is fly. It's dope. And he still uses the J's though, but it's all right. Jaguar. So then you know, he found a way to even makes the mask look fly.
He's dope.
Yeah, he even makes the fucking mask, the luchador mask look fly. You know what I mean? It takes a special talent to pull that off. I'm like, damn, all right. You know, homie right here looking like Blue Demon and shit, you know, mascarita sagrada. So So how do we pass this idea and vision to the youngsters? I think first ask them questions, because I'm no longer the guy who used to tell people, oh, you're not Latino, you're not Hispanic, you're this. Now I can't tell people that no more, because identity, I've learned the sacredness of identity. Identity is sacred. See, before I had a colonial idea of what identity was. A colonial idea of identity is like, are you a U.S. citizen or not? Are you Latino, Hispanic, or other? Are you Native American or Alaska Native? Like all these stupid ass categorizes, categories that puts us in their boxes, and their his story, not our story, because I don't today I don't claim Native American, because my people predate America, so why the fuck would I be Native American? The closest one is Native Indigenous. I'm native to these fucking lands, and I'm of the indigenous people of these fucking lands. That's the closest one. But if I want to get closer, now I'm going to say, okay, I come from what today is Mexico, and I come from what today is Zacatecas, and I come from the Zacateco Chichimeca territory, and I come from the lineage of Zacateco Chichimeca, because that's what my abuelo told me, that all his abuelos are campesinos from the Campo de la Sierra de Zacatecas. So who are the people from there? The Zacatecos, the Chichimecas. So that's my people, right? So when I get at youngsters today, I'll be like, let me ask you a question. Why do you wear that? How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel like a belonging? Like, oh, that's what's popping right now, so you belong to that group? Is that the group you really want to belong to? What other groups are you interested in belonging to? Do you identify as Latinx because you belong to that group? Do you know what that name really means? Do you know what the definition of it is? Do you know the history of it? So once you start asking these questions, then they start thinking critically about those identities. So that's where you want them to be. You want them to question shit. You don't want to give them the label. You don't want to give them the brand. You want them to question shit. And I had the privilege of having a teacher who taught me critical thinking. He taught me how to question subliminal messages. He taught me how to question why is Speedy Gonzalez the Mexican in Looney Tunes? Why is he the fucking rat? Why is he being stepped on? What makes him the fucking Mexican? What makes him what makes the rat the Mexican? So that when I started thinking that shit, I was like, oh shit. Like, damn. And this teacher was black. And he's like, who wants to be the star of the show all the time? Well, Duffy Duck. Well, why is he black? Why does he speak like a certain way? Why does he spit a lot when he speak? And who's the star of the show? Bugs Bunny. What color is he? Well, shit, well, he's white, gray. Okay. And then they even shout out the rednecks, right? You got Yosemite Sam acting the fool in Texas. To this day, they're acting the fool in Texas, right? Just shooting shit up. Don't fucking have no brains, just shooting shit up. And then you have the other dumbass fool trying to fucking hunt, and he's always trying to hunt Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny makes him a fool. So once you start looking at these things, you're like, oh shit. They start lining up for you. Now you're using cognitive consciousness to push it together. Now you're connecting the dots. Now your perspective and your lens is changing. Now you're having a whole shift of paradigms. Now you're like, oh, I'm looking at everything different. So when I looked at FUBU, I'm like, I agree with them. It's for us, by us, but I'm not black, so I'm not gonna wear FUBU. I'm gonna give my sweater to the homie because I'm not black, but I support it. But I want brown people to make their own shit because I'm brown. That's what I am. All my love to black people, but I'm brown first. And that's what I represent. That's what my phenotypes represent. So who can I support that identifies us as us? So when I connect with the youngsters, I may not be able to connect on the identity of a Native Indigenous or Zacateco, Chichimeca, Zacatecas, Mexico, Cali, Chicano, because I do identify as Chicano. That's a state of mind, just like the homie right here. So I might not be able to identify with all of that, but I will identify with one
bro,
thing.
because he might sue you, bro. Trucha, he might sue you, man.
Nah, I spell it different, though. I spell it with the X and with the K, Chicano. That's just a closer identity to the indigenous identity. So the one thing I can relate to the youngsters is that we're brown. And I'm with that brown pride, like the little Chicanita, the little Hermanita from Idaho. We're brown, we have that brown pride, and we have that brown power. So that's my connection to them. We're both brown. We might be a different shade of brown, but that's all right. So then I'll put them up on game and listen to the 1990s, what was it, that group, Shade of Brown or
Lighter Shade of Brown.
Lighter shade of brown.
There you go, Lighter Shade of Brown. So, so we're all a shade of brown, and that's why I had to join an organization called United Brown Coalition, because we were all brown and we're united, and that was our coalition. So that identity you cannot erase. You cannot take that off. You cannot scrape it. You could only get it browner by being outdoors and getting kissed by the sun more, or you could go lighter by being indoors more, but you will still have that brown in you, one way or another. And that connects us. So I use that connection to see where the river flows and see where their mentality is at, where their level of consciousness is, their level of knowing history and our stories. And then from there, I just navigate. I navigate, but I no longer plant things in people's head like you're this, you're that. I can't tell people who they are, just like we can't tell people what gender they are. We can't tell people what level of class they might belong to. None of that shit. That's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to provoke thought. Like Tupac said, he might not be the one that changes the world, but he will plant the seeds and those that will.
Right.
So that's kind of what I go for that plan.
Love it, love it, love it. Hey, before we wrap it up, I want everyone to shout out their what they represent, their platform, and where people can reach you. So go ahead, Pete. Shout out your platform, bro.
You can reach me at Chicano State of Mind. It's in all platforms. But if you really want to reach me, make a change in your community, and I'll see it. Just like Heron and the missus right here. I'll see it and I'll reach out to you. But thanks a lot, man. This was beautiful. I love this, man.
Go ahead, home girl. Shout out you're an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? So shout out what you got going on.
Yeah, I wow, what I do hella shit. Oh man. What I do right now is I work with the youth. I am a sewing teacher. I teach youth how to build their own businesses and sew their own clothes and be eco-friendly. And I'm also the coordinator at a continuation high school in East Oakland. And I'm very proud to do the work that I do now. What I am known for, though, is my art. I go by Hella Crafty here on Instagram, and I'm a little bit removed from it because there was some stuff that happened at the high school, and I'm kind of like really invested into it, into the everyday lives of our young folks. Pero I'm an artist. I'm a singer, a mariachi singer. I am a
Wow.
I know I do a little bit of everything. I do rap a little bit. You know, I was featured on a couple tracks, Brown's tracks. Hopefully they come out soon.
Coming out soon. Oh, it's coming out soon.
Right. And shoot, I am a co-host for a podcast called Who Got the Juice, who highlights all Bay Area entrepreneurs, upcoming artists, a little bit of everything. We do a little bit of everything. But I am a frontliner, and I represent my community. And if there's something to do in the community, I am in the front line. I'm in the street, and I do what I does. So.
Yo, lovely. I love that. Yeah, go ahead, Aaron. Shout out what you got going on, bro. Where can people reach you? This is going to be on an audio platform, so people that are listening, where can they reach you at?
So Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, Ashoken. Just the way it is here, Ashoken22. And then also I have a podcast coming up, and you can find the page to that does exist right now. The Smoky Mirror Pod or Smoky Mirror Podcast. I forgot how I put it, but the pages is already up and running. It's just waiting on the actual episodes to drop.
Okay, so that's Smoky Mirror Pod. SMOKY Mirror, MIRRORPOD. People that want to tune in. And the homegirl has she's a co-host at a podcast. What was that again?
Who Got the Juice is an all Latino podcast, but we feature everybody from Northern California, and we would love to feature anybody that's willing to talk about something. You know, the host, you know, he's a little out of pocket sometimes, and I just kind of like bring him down sometimes a lot. Like, yo, like we cannot be talking about this right now. But you know, it's more of an entertainment podcast. That's why I like to join these type of podcasts, because we on some mind shit. You know what I'm saying? Like we over here really talking about what it is. and Who Got the Juice is very entertaining. But we
Like
are
it.
an all Latino cast.
Like it.
Mm,
Who got the juice? I love
that's what's
that.
up.
Mhm.
That's what's up.
That's
That's what's up.
awesome.
Well, I want to thank y'all for again, giving your point of view of these questions. There's not a lot of questions, but they're questions enough to get you to think, right? To get you to think about where we are, who we are in society, how we belong in society, right? But yeah, so muchas gracias again for tuning in, and to everyone listening, muchas gracias. Thank you for joining in on this episode of
Uh,
the Brown Experience.
Bro, if I may, one last thing.
Yeah.
I just want to give the colonial perspective on this. How do we belong to America, or how America belongs to us, or whatnot. The indigenous perspective is that the land never belonged to us. We belong to the land. We are the stewards of the land. We're the caretakers of the land.
100%
You know, we
right.
we have we have to take care of the rivers. We have to take care of the water. Water is life. We have to take care of the soil. The soil is losing all of its nutrients.
Mhm.
You know, there's a campaign right now called Save the Soil. Check it out. It's something we really have to concern ourselves with. Also try to see who are the stewards that hold ancestral kinship to the lands you currently live in. Like, for example, in LA is the Tongva Kish people, Gabrielino people, and then build relationships with them.
Mhm.
Reach out, be like, how can I help you in anything? What do you have going
Yeah.
on? How can I help you be a better relative? How can I help you be a better guest on your ancestral lands?
Mhm.
Because unless you're living on your ancestral lands, you are still a visitor, a wanted visitor, because you're indigenous. Now, if you're not indigenous, you might be unwanted, but that's another story.
Mhm.
But the point is that we never looked at the lands as it belonging to us. We belong to it. So we come from the soil and we go back to the soil. Just wanted to give
Mhm.
that out.
Very right
Mhm.
on.
That's
100%.
it. I love
That's
that, man.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's needed, bro. And this is gonna be saved on my page. So if anyone wants to go back, I'm gonna jot down some notes on this because this is a lot to take in. You know what I mean? So this
Yeah.
is a lot of knowledge right here. But once again,
Um,
gracias again for tuning in, and buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Thank you, bud. Thank you, brother.
Ajo me
Hey,
Thank you,
thank you,
bro.
tes.
Aaron. Thank you, sister.
Gracias,
It
peace.
was it was an awesome live. I loved it. Thank you, guys.
Me too.
Buenas
Hey,
noches.
Buenas
Buenas
noches.
noches.
Bye.